area that we do have that tornado warning that has been issued for. Let's show the radar. Yeah, there you go. Here's the radar image, or the warning image there, south of the Beaver Dam area. This is moving towards the southeast at probably about 30-35 miles per hour. And you can see all the lightning associated with these thunderstorms as well. In fact, we've had about 500 lightning strikes just in the last 15 minutes or so, showing some of the power here for some of the storms. And you can see all the orange underneath all the radar image there, or the radar clutter. Those are all these severe thunderstorm warnings. But let's zoom in right there. You can almost see that notch right there just to the north of Watertown as we get the radar image associated right in that area. That's where a tornado would be. Here it goes. Okay, just to the west of the Hucisford area. That would be kind of where we would see a potential for a tornado there, and that's going to move off towards the southeast right now. So this is actually going from Dodge County, central Dodge County there, into parts towards, say, Oconomowoc, even into northeastern Jefferson County. Michael putting a track on it here into the Oconomowoc area there around 11:18 a.m. or so. Heartland 11:30, Pewaukee 11:38, and then Waukesha potentially, if it does hold together here, until 11:45. Right now, this tornado warning lasts until 11:30 at this point. This is a radar indicated tornado. No confirmation yet there in terms of the radar confirmed tornado or any storm spotters confirming that tornado at all at this point. But right now, just to the north of Watertown as well, that would be kind of where we would see this potential. And this is the hail product showing the areas that could be experiencing some hail right now. And you can see that cluster right there, right where that tornado warning also is. Kind of this storm taking a bit of a supercellular look to it. That's when we get individual cells that do take on kind of these more stronger and even severe thunderstorm risks there just to the northeast of Watertown. Potential there for maybe hail up to an inch or maybe even 2 inches there. We can put a query on that, and you can see exactly what the hail potential is there by using that question mark to see potentially what size hail, about 1.8 inches hail. So that would be nearly 2-inch size hail associated with this thunderstorm, this tornado warning storm as well. But right now, mainly the hazard is tornado and quarter-size hail with this storm, but potentially there some larger hailstones as well over in that area. Let's go back to that radar image. Let's show the velocity product as well. The velocity showing there, and you can really see kind of a couple of areas where you do have some of that rotation, very, very broad, but where you're really seeing it is just to the northeast of Watertown. Let's zoom in right in that area there to the southeast of Kleiman, just to the northwest of Ashippun as well, southwest of Hucisford, right in here. That's where potentially a tornado would be. Once again, this is not a confirmed tornado, nor by radar or by any storm spotters that are out there, but kind of in the Kleiman area, southwest of Hucisford. This is south of Juneau as well, just to kind of orient you just a little bit. It's not looking super tight in terms of the rotation that we're currently seeing on the radar image, but definitely something there that the National Weather Service was seeing to potentially indicate that potential there for some of that information that the National Weather Service was definitely looking at to see that potential as well. Let's take kind of a wider view here. Yeah, thank you, Michael. This is currently what we're seeing right now on the radar image, and these rapidly developed. Around 9:30, that radar image was still fairly quiet, and then by 10 a.m. we started to see some of these severe thunderstorm warnings that has been issued. Here's a loop of that, and you can see really how quiet it was at the beginning of that loop, and then right now, everybody dealing with all these thunderstorms. So not only do we have that tornado warning there for parts of Dodge as well as parts of Jefferson County, but we also have severe thunderstorm warnings, and I would not be surprised if they extend those shortly into areas like Milwaukee County, Ozaukee County, even that northeast corner there of Racine County. But here's what the here's what the warning map currently looks like. Washington County, all of Waukesha County, good chunk there, Racine, Kenosha counties, all under severe thunderstorm warnings. Some of those expire at 11 a.m. The one here in Racine, Kenosha counties, that goes currently until 11:15. And then obviously our area of concern would be that tornado warning there just to the south of Beaver Dam, kind of to the northeast of the Watertown area. Here's the debris detector. This would give us an indication if we're seeing any radar confirmation. Let's zoom in there towards the Watertown area, Michael, if we could potentially see any signs of anything that looks different. We're looking for signs on the radar that look different from the rest. This is all just rain, so it doesn't look like we're seeing anything in terms of any debris that's being spotted by this, which would be a good thing at this point. Michael, are we getting any information from the National Weather Service? Any confirmation there, any reports right now?
The only thing I'm seeing, Justin, Kleiman Fire Chief and Law Enforcement reporting a Funnel County road, E and ME. So that's all that I see thus far in the chat here again. Apparent Funnel County, E and ME.
Okay.
And Kleiman.
Okay, good information to know there as we kind of look at that radar image and see that information right now. That main hook, yeah, is right near the Kleinman area there, moving towards the southeast as well. And currently, this tornado warning does go until 11:30. This is moving to the southeast there at about 35. Let's zoom in on kind of that Watertown area. Let's take the lightning off as well, and let's do a track again so we can track this as it goes off towards the southeast right now, moving into potentially into Jefferson County, and even Waukesha County is included in this. So parts of western Waukesha County there, that northeast corner there of Jefferson County, southern Dodge County would be in the Oconomowoc area between around 11:15 or so. So in about 20 minutes or so as the current track takes it. Delafield there area around 11:26, Waukesha proper around 11:43, and then Vernon as it continues to push its way towards the southeast there around 11:50 or so. So that's the current track of that tornado warning as it's currently been issued by the National Weather Service. Funnel cloud has been reported there in southern Dodge County there, and that's the area that we are potentially watching for that rotation, and that is all going to continue to move its way off towards the southeast. Obviously, we've got a lot of heavy rain associated with these. National Weather Service was concerned about potentially a downburst or a microburst there in southwestern Waukesha County as well. Michael, if you could real quickly, just go ahead and take that radar image off just so we can see exactly where the polygon is here for this tornado warning, so we can show people exactly what counties and what areas are currently under that warning there right now. Okay, so this is southeastern Dodge County, and then you get this northeast corner there of Jefferson County right along 94 area between, say, Oconomowoc or even into the Pewaukee area out towards Johnson Creek is currently included in that tornado warning, and then that northwest corner there of Waukesha County is also included in this warning. Yeah, Michael, you got some more information?
We have a new warning for Milwaukee County, Waukesha County, and eastern Jefferson County. This goes till 12:15, Justin.
Okay.
60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail. These storms are pushing off to the east about 25 miles an hour. So again, FYI with this. And let me just mention, this is an important point to, in terms of distinguishing between the difference between a severe storm warning and a tornado warning. When you have winds 70 plus miles an hour, it really doesn't matter what you call it. It can be a rather dangerous storm and potentially deadly too. So you really have to heed these warnings. Just because it's not a tornado warning doesn't mean it's not a problem. So again, that's something to keep in mind, Justin.
Yeah, so we do have that tornado warning that goes until 11:30, and as Michael just mentioned there, we do currently have the newly issued severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Waukesha as well as Milwaukee County. That one goes until 12:15 at this point. Right now, we have not really heard any reports of damage from any of these thunderstorms as they've been moving their way eastward across southeast Wisconsin. We did get some reports in Dodge County there reporting about hail the size of quarters, so a quarter-inch size or quarter-sized hail. That would be a 1 inch in diameter sized hail. But if you do live here in southeastern parts of Dodge County, that's where you want to head to your basement. Now, if you do not have a basement, if you live in an apartment building, you want to go to the lowest level of that place. If you have an underground parking garage, that's a great place to be. Otherwise, you want to put as many walls between you and the tornado and potentially the tornado and these thunderstorm as possible. Looking at the latest velocity image here, we're not really seeing too much in terms of visibility or too much in terms of tight rotation. It looks fairly wide in terms of that rotation. This is a tower cam. This is in Dodge County as well. You can see some of the rain coming through there, so thank you to our team for pulling up that camera. You can definitely see some pretty good rain falling. Can't really see the clouds too much, so can't really see too much there if you have any sort of a wall cloud developing or anything that would indicate more of that potential there for that tornado. But on the latest velocity image, I'm not too impressed. I don't know about you, Michael, in terms of seeing any tight rotation there, but obviously we did get that one report of a funnel cloud.
No, I'm not impressed with that either. But again, you were mentioning this earlier, Justin. The atmosphere is so right for this. We have so much heat, so much humidity, so much energy. So this is what we have to watch out for. And then the other question is redevelopment later on today. We will have to wait and see what happens with that too.
Yeah, we have been kind of tracking that potential here for a couple of rounds of severe thunderstorms here today. Whether or not this round right now will take away the energy, that's probably going to happen. And I believe we do have a newly issued a severe thunderstorm warning that has now been issued for all of Ozaukee County, the rest of Washington County as well. So as we kind of mentioned, we're seeing a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings that we potentially did have earlier. Those have now been extended all the way to the lakefront there. So that one now for Dodge, Ozaukee, and Washington counties, that goes until 12:15. So potentially could be another hour plus until the entirety of these storms are really over Lake Michigan. Sometimes it's kind of that front edge of the storms that have the strongest wind with them, but we are seeing some microbursts develop. Even the the tornado warning storm that kind of developed on the backside of the storm. So the entire line of storms from both east to west really still has the potential there to be on the stronger side as we put things into motion here. And you can really see how quickly and how fast a lot of these thunderstorms did develop. We've got meteorologist Rebecca Schold in the Weather Center now as well. Rebecca, any other information here from the National Weather Service?
I do want to pass along the Whitewater Fire Department is working on a high angle recovery. A line worker reportedly struck by lightning hanging in a tree. So that is some very unfortunate news. So just some of the other downfalls of this severe weather, which we don't issue for lightning, but clearly that is a hazard there. And again, like you mentioned, just reissuing downstream and continuing to extend the time of those warnings at this time.
Yeah, I believe that latest severe thunderstorm warning, Kenosha, Racine, and Walworth County has been issued until 12:15 as well. A lot of these moving their way off towards the east at about 35 miles per hour. So, and here, let's not show you the Telemundo map, but here's another camera there. I believe that is in the Dodge County area. As we zoom over and switch back to our main radar image. Thanks, guys. In terms of the scope here, this is a big area of storms that rapidly developed. These are actually gravity wave induced storms, not something we talk about very often. Typically, we're talking about cold fronts or warm fronts or different things like that that are really bringing in the potential here for severe storms and giving us the spark for those severe storms. Today's were actually caused by something called gravity waves, which are some clouds up in the atmosphere that can just kind of allow some of these storms to spark. And obviously, there's a lot of fuel out there. So there's a very, very humid air mass, very, very warm temps here today. That's a lot of the energy for these storms to tap into. So the front line of these storms is really kind of rolling into our lakeside communities here within the next 5-10 minutes. Into the Milwaukee area, downtown Milwaukee around 11:04, into the Racine area there between about 11:15, 11:20. But as we've seen with that Dodge County storm, and I want to zoom back in on that tornado warning storm when you get a chance here, we're seeing some of the more impactful parts of the storms on the backside, actually, of these potential microbursts that happened in southwestern Waukesha County. And here's the storm right now. It did kind of have that hook look to it earlier. It's a little bit disjointed right now. It's not completely gone away. You could have maybe a little bit of a notch there to the south of Houston'sford, to the northwest there of Ashippun. You can see that as we put that radar into motion. Thanks, Rebecca, for doing that. You can really see that hook, and then it kind of has dissipated a little bit here. What's the velocity product look like if we can pull that up and zoom in there across? Yeah, I mean, we're seeing some rotation, but it looks pretty broad from what I'm seeing right now. Any thoughts on that, Rebecca?
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and put that into motion. Like you said, you saw that nice little hook that then became certainly more muddled. And what we're looking with at this velocity product is the green and the red, green going toward, red going away from the radar site. So that gives us an idea once those are tightly joined together if there is some rotation there. So certainly we're still looking at that quickly blowing up. And you can see here that while there is possibly some broad rotation, nothing is looking extremely tight at this time, which would be good news. But certainly some gusty winds, that potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds is still there. And again, we're kind of just zooming in right here on this particular part of Dodge County here, where we can clearly see at least some broad rotation. As far as any ground truth reports, other than seeing that funnel cloud near County E and ME, out of the Kleiman area, we have not seen anything else. So at this point, still likely just kind of radar indicated as far as that rotation goes.
Yeah, as of this point, the tornado warning does go until 11:30, so lasts for another 28 minutes here. They have not updated that warning. Typically, they try and do that every 15-20 minutes or so, so I would not be surprised if we got an update here shortly. Whether that update, and here we go, the latest velocity update, continues to look a little bit more muddled unless that storm has moved a little bit farther there to the southeast as well. But with that latest radar image, yeah, I mean, it looks like some of that rotation has almost completely gone away, at least from what we're seeing there on that velocity product as of there. National Weather Service should continue to give us kind of an update on this tornado warning here shortly. They may decide to cancel that warning early, which would be a great thing. But we do still have those severe thunderstorm warnings that are continuing right now for a lot of communities, for wind gusts there to 60 miles per hour, the potential for some hail as well. Yeah, on the velocity product, it did look a little bit better kind of right as soon as they issued that, right around, say, that Kleinman area where we did get that report there of that funnel cloud. But as of the latest velocity product, really not looking too impressive here, at least not from what I'm seeing right now. Let's kind of just widen that view there a little bit and go ahead and look at some of the other areas potentially for some stronger wind gusts that we're seeing here in some communities, as well as just kind of that general radar image across southeast Wisconsin. Because a lot of us are seeing these storms. This is a velocity product here. Anytime you see the bright colors, whether that's going to be bright red or even some bright greens, that's going to indicate that potential there for maybe some stronger wind gusts. All right, here's the current radar image. That's in that area right there, reporting some velocity around almost 50 miles per hour. A severe thunderstorm warning would be at 60 miles per hour, 58 miles per hour or higher. So we're definitely seeing that potential there for some stronger wind gusts, 50 miles per hour there, right there, kind of along the county line between Washington County as well as Ozaukee County, just to the south of the Newburgh area, west of Grafton as well. That is all moving its way off towards the east. A lot of these kind of stronger wind gusts, and most of the storms are moving east at about 35 miles per hour. Yeah, Michael Sessinger, you got some information?
No, I just want to mention a couple of things. Folks in the back, if we can bring up the tower cam, the weather cam downtown, and show how eerie it looks. We have this bank of fog, and we got these storms coming in from the west. It's one of the most eerie shots I've seen on our cameras in a while, and if we can cover to call that up, I know it takes a second or two. And I just want to remind folks, I know we have a couple of, there you go, we have a couple of golf tournaments going on in our area today. Folks, you should have two ways of getting warnings, through perhaps a weather app like ours, and also NOAA Weather Radio is really good to have. So again, it's really important on a day like this. A lot of folks out and about.
Yeah, thanks for that information, Michael. We appreciate that. Good reminders there on days when severe weather just kind of seemingly pops up and escalates pretty quickly. We do also, you can see there on the warning map, we did have that heat advisory. That is in place. That just shows you all of the instability, all the fuel for the thunderstorms to really tap into. But of concern right now is that tornado warning there. That is for southeast parts of Dodge County, northeast corner there of Jefferson County, northwest corner of Waukesha County. That currently goes until 11:30. We should get an update from the National Weather Service here on that tornado warning shortly, whether they're going to confine the area a little bit, decide to let that warning go as well. But Dodge, Jefferson, parts of Waukesha County, currently all under a tornado warning until 11:30. That warning was initially issued about 20 minutes ago at 10:47. Then you have everybody else here in the orange. So if you live in Washington, Ozaukee, Waukesha, Milwaukee, Racine, Kenosha counties, you are all under severe thunderstorm warnings. For those lakeside communities, that technically goes for another hour here until 12:15. It's not just the front part of the storms today that we're seeing with the strongest winds. We're seeing some of these stronger winds and even potentially that tornado there on even the backside of the storms, which is a little bit unusual from what we're kind of typically used to here with some of that information that we're getting here from the National Weather Service this morning. And this is also providing some much needed rainfall. Everybody knows we need some rain right now, so everybody is getting in on some good rain. Thankfully, these are fairly fast moving storms, so I would not really expect too much of a flash flooding threat or a flooding threat, but definitely something where we are seeing some good, really beneficial rain that's out there right now. Yeah, Rebecca.
You know, it is interesting. I mean, we are in dire need of the rain, of course. We've had little rain this month. Now a measurement out of Eagle Spring Lake, and that's in southern Waukesha County, just over an inch there. So they're mentioning water is starting to pond on local roads, and it is kind of a fine line. We need the rain. The ground can probably take it, but if it's a little bit harder, it might be ponding at least just briefly. And now what they're looking at is now starting to kind of focus their attention near East Troy. So we're going to go down to Walworth County here for what looks like there could be some, you kind of see a little bit of this rounding here. So there could be a little bit of rotation that is starting here. There are no new reports of funnel clouds at this time. I did see one cloud picture coming out of the area. It's certainly lowering, but it not looking like we're seeing any type of cone type of feature dropping out of those clouds. So that's good. But again, I want to go ahead and just switch over to the velocity product here, the rotation product, and get back down to East Troy, as now we're starting to see things tighten up a little bit there. Again, still somewhat muddled, but you are seeing kind of those areas of red and green, and seeing a little bit more on the regular radar that people are used to looking at that could feature a little bit of rotation here. So this will be the next point. So just a heads up. Again, there was literally nothing on the radar at 9:50, and by 10 o'clock or so, these really just blew up. So these are quick forming storms here, and just to take precautions here if you are anywhere near any of these potential rotation areas. And again, we already unfortunately heard the news of some of the one injury with the lightning. So a lot going on out here. Again, pretty juicy atmosphere for a lot of this stuff to fire real quickly. And we can start to hear the rain here on our studio roof. We're in West Allis at this time. So the rain is now starting to move into our major metropolitan area. Michael?
Yeah. And we have another report from Mark Fox, if I may, from Mayville, 1/4 inch there. So that's so welcomed for so many people too.
Yeah, some really good rain falling in a lot of areas. As you look at that velocity product, this is what Rebecca was just talking about, just around the East Troy area there. You can see some of those brighter areas of red moving away from the radar image, some of the green moving toward the radar image there. And once you get that area getting close to each other, that's the rotation that we would typically look for the potential for some tornadoes. Now, this area is not currently tornado warned, but the National Weather Service is currently taking a look at this area for potentially doing a tornado warned storm, but otherwise, we are not currently seeing any tornado warnings in this area, but that is another area of rotation. Interesting, though, that similarly to the Dodge County tornado warning, we're seeing these form on the backside of the thunderstorm. So as this kind of line of storms rolls through, the backside of the storms, there's actually picking up on probably some boundaries that are left over, some gust fronts, things like that, and interacting with the main storm fronts. And that's where you're getting some of that rotation that's kind of been spinning up. And that's what we're currently seeing there in northeastern Walworth County, just to the south of East Troy. Currently, no tornado warning, though, as I mentioned, as I just take a glance at the National Weather Service chat function. And then we're seeing kind of this big gust of wind from that previous tornado warned storm moving into areas like northwestern Waukesha County. So these big kind of almost downbursty type winds right now moving through towards areas like Oconomowoc, Merton, even into the Pewaukee area as well. But that rain's coming down. The lightning, we reported 500 lightning strikes at one point just in about 15 minutes. So all of those are continuing to impact us as well. You can see all the lightning that's showing up here on the radar image currently, and that's a view of downtown Milwaukee starting to get hammered here by some pretty good rain in and around the Milwaukee metro area. Once again, very welcomed rain because we do not have much rain here over the last month. Currently, before today, was on track to be the driest July here on record across southeast Wisconsin, especially there in the Milwaukee area, but plenty in terms of those storms ongoing right now. Let's look at the radar image, give people kind of a reset here on what we're seeing in terms of some of the warnings, some of the radar that is currently out there across all of southeast Wisconsin. Yeah, Rebecca.
Let's go ahead, and what we need to do is switch back to our main computer. Okay, great. Thank you so much for doing that. Just really quickly, as we talk about that one tornado warning out of Dodge County, and you can see that kind of fell apart in between Watertown to Ashapin. And now what we're seeing because of that is a forward downdraft, which is putting down a boundary which could help the lower levels here develop stronger rotation. So again, when we have these tornado warnings, it's radar indicated, it's a little further aloft. We may start to see some strengthening, and Justin pointed out there near the Oconomowoc area, again, kind of watching these two areas of the red and the green kind of come together. So I do think we're probably looking at multiple areas that may start to see some rotation. So again, we're watching that. There is no additional warning here at this time. I want to go ahead and just quickly take off the radar for those of you just joining us and just do a reset on those warnings. So again, clearly you can see in the red we do have that tornado warning, and it is now pushing into portions of northwest Waukesha County, some of that rotation there. So that goes until 11:30. Again, no reports of anything on the ground. One funnel cloud reported earlier, but nothing really since. But again, kind of seeing some of these brief little notches where some of those winds may be tightening up there. In addition, again, the main line of storms is moving into the greater Milwaukee area now, so some of our most heavily populated spots, you certainly want to seek shelter. Again, just alone on the lightning and the potential for strong wind gusts up to 60. miles per hour. That severe thunderstorm warning here for Jefferson, Milwaukee, Waukesha till 12:15, and then as we get down to places like Racine and Kenosha and Walworth, also 12:15 there. So I'll go ahead and remove all of that and just get you back to what you're most familiar looking at, which would be your radar product here. And as we put that on, you can see we have some pretty heavy rain, which again, this is the one upside. We are in dire and desperate need of rainfall here, but unfortunately you can see layered on top of that is a ton of lightning here. So again, basically throughout the entire viewing area, we are seeing some pretty electric storms where you do want to make sure you are getting to your safe spot now. Again, they're traveling to the east at about 35 miles per hour. We have had some reports already up over an inch of rain, so that's the one good point of that. And now also getting some reports of hail into Dodge County. So again, you can see Dodge County is actually starting to see that ease, but that is another feature here. If we haven't checked on that in just a moment, I think it's worth going back to that, because certainly that next batch of rotation that was of concern, also potentially seeing some hail there. And what I want to do is just go ahead and loop that, and we'll do a slow loop here just over the last hour due to how quickly these storms formed. And so you can see really within about 15 to 30 minutes that kind of blew up. Now whether that holds together or collapses right away, this is why we're monitoring, and this is why we are on the air as we continue to watch these very quickly changing conditions. Certainly though, if you are in line, Waterford, you want to get to your safe spot, some hail reports up to an inch in diameter does meet the criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning. So that is not good news there. And then again, kind of watching, it's a little more nebulous, but into far northwest Waukesha County. We need to keep an eye on that near the Oconomowoc area, as that potentially is starting to become a little problematic. The hail there, that product is falling apart. That's good. However, as we go back to the velocity product in that area and just check on that. And again, you're getting closer to that radar site too, but again, that does look broad still. And now getting a ping pong sized hail report out of Lac La Belle. So again, there we are, Lac La Belle. Certainly that hail continue to hold together there, Justin.
Yeah, we're seeing quite the reports coming in, and you can kind of see some of these areas where you're getting these little notches on the backside of these storms, so the western parts of the storm. So initially, you can get some gusts of heavy wind, you can get some good rain, you can get some good lightning, and then it's actually on the backside of these storms. Those are the areas that we're currently seeing some of these little brief areas where you're getting a little bit of rotation. So that's what we initially saw there across parts of southern Dodge County. That tight rotation has kind of fallen apart a little bit, and now we're getting another one there kind of towards the East Troy area. Once again, that East Troy storm is not currently a tornado warned, but definitely something that the National Weather Service will continue to watch here over the next, say, 15-20 minutes as we get some of these latest radar scans here. But we are still under that tornado warning for Dodge County. That still goes here until 11:30 currently. They have not decided to get rid of that tornado warning that is currently in effect. And then we do have all these severe thunderstorm warnings that are also currently in effect across the area as well. So here's the latest there on some of the radar products as well. You're looking at one of our tower cams. This is right near, this is on 894 there at 84th Street. You can see the rain really coming down pretty heavy across a lot of southeast Wisconsin as well. Some of that heavy rain, some of those gusty winds coming into the Milwaukee metro area. So if you are traveling here over the next 30-45 minutes, you're going to be dealing with a lot of heavy rain that's going to cause some slow road travel times as well here as all this activity rolls through southeast Wisconsin. And let's go back and just kind of look at that velocity product. Let's look at some of these areas of storms that we've kind of been watching here early this morning, or late this morning, I guess I should say, of some of these areas that have been potentially seeing this, especially, let's look at that East Troy area. I think that's one that's the most interesting at this point. Let's go south of East Troy there. So the west of Burlington area between Spring Prairie and Burlington, some broad rotation currently being indicated. As we kind of have been mentioning, the National Weather Service has not issued a tornado warning for this area. We do still have the tornado warning there for Dodge County as well. We're seeing velocity, though, of 50 miles per hour. So even if it doesn't have any rotation associated with it, we are still seeing some of that strong wind potential, 50 miles per hour, maybe even close to 60 miles per hour there. And then we do still have that tornado warning there for parts of Dodge, parts of northwestern Waukesha County, Oconomowoc. You are still under that tornado warning. You should still be in your safe spot here. Areas like Oconomowoc, Summit, Okauchee Lake, Delafield, you're all under that currently tornado warned area. And as Rebecca was talking about earlier, we're getting some of these boundaries that are kind of mixing together. And anytime you get boundaries that are coming together, that's when tornado warnings could potentially spin up. And we're seeing these once again on the backside of the storms as those storms initially kind of roll through the area. But definitely plenty to be concerned about this morning between the heavy rain, the lightning. Sometimes what can happen too, especially with how dry it's been lately, if this rain comes down too fast, we're not going to see it soak into the ground immediately. It's going to run off a little bit first thing. So if you're getting some really good heavy rain for 15-20 minutes, you might have some brief flooding concerns, and then that could kind of soften the ground, allow that moisture to seep into the ground as well. But we're certainly seeing plenty in terms of lightning, as well as some of the warnings that are currently out there across all of southeast Wisconsin. Right now the time is 11:18. We do still have that tornado warning that goes until 11:30 here later on this morning. That's for parts of Dodge, Waukesha, as well as Jefferson counties here. And I believe they just did give an update on that tornado warning. Rebecca, do you have some of that information there?
Which is great news. So they have canceled that tornado warning into Dodge County, which is certainly some good news there. But it does look like now they are reissuing, which makes a lot of sense. I was just going to mention, as we're looking at our wind product, far and away the strongest winds are coming into the Burlington area, so they are now going to issue a tornado warning for eastern Walworth here. And I just want to say to production, let's just stay on our main computer unless we ask for that second one, so we can continue to fine tune here to the viewers as we're working in real time some of this rotation that we're seeing now, that it does look like they are going to downstream warn on that. So again, this is the rotation product, so the tightening of the red and the green, that's going to give us an idea of whether or not we're seeing some rotation. So it still looks somewhat broad, but again, as we just look at the wind product itself, and like Justin said, now we're starting to see some of the strongest winds on the backside. Querying that is putting down winds of 50 miles per hour in our in-house products here. Certainly that is an uptick from even what we were seeing up in the Dodge County area. So
yeah, let's go to the warning map just to show everybody the new tornado warning that has now been issued for parts of Walworth, Racine, as well as Kenosha counties here. So you can see the northern part of these storms, and as we zoom in a little bit farther to the south, that's where we are seeing that tornado warning that has been issued now for parts of Walworth, Racine, and Kenosha counties. A little bit farther south of there towards Walworth, Racine, Kenosha counties are currently under a tornado warning that has been issued here. That is the tornado warning that's still from that Dodge County storm that we are looking at right now. That is still in effect until 11:30, but as we zoom in a little bit farther to the south, there we go. That's the tornado warning that has newly been issued there by the National Weather Service. So this is eastern parts of Walworth County, the western part there of Racine County, the western part of Kenosha County. That goes until noon today for Kenosha, Racine, Walworth County. Over 71,000 people impacted by that tornado warning storm. And kind of where you're seeing that little bit of a notch there, that's where that tornado warning would be. And that tornado warning is drifting off towards the southeast right now. You can put a tracker on this as well as it moves off towards the southeast. But kind of right around between the Spring Prairie and the Burlington area, right in that area, that's where kind of that notch would be. That's where potentially a tornado would be. It's interesting that the entire line is moving its way off towards the east, but when we're seeing kind of these little supercells that develop on the backside of the storms, those are actually moving their way a little bit farther towards the south. So we're getting kind of these little indents, these little notches, if you will, in the radar image, and those are continuing to move south. You can see downtown Milwaukee still looking very rainy here, but towards the Burlington area, we're seeing a little bit of a different story there as well. This is all moving its way southeast, and as we track it here, could be into the Boners Lake there between the next 3-4 minutes or so, around 11:24. Salem there would be around 11:41. Pleasant Prairie around noon, and then moves into parts of northern Illinois after that as well. If we could potentially bring up the Lake Geneva camera here in a little bit, I believe I had pointed off towards the east earlier this morning, so should give us a little bit of a view into that storm. Once we have that up, we can bring that up for you. But we are currently seeing that notch there in just to the southwest of Burlington, south of Spring Prairie, north of Bloomfield, just to orient you a little bit. If you live in these areas, so we're talking eastern Walworth County, western parts of Racine, Kenosha County, you need to be in the lowest level of your home. If you have a basement, you need to be in your basement. You want to put as many walls between you and the storm as possible. So if you do not have a basement, the lowest level of your home, whether that's a bathroom or a closet, you're going to want to get into that area. If you live in an apartment building and you live on the second or third floor of that apartment building, you're going to want to go down to that lobby level, try and find maybe there's a bathroom on that lobby level or staircase or something like that. Those are good areas. If you have underground parking, those are also good areas as well. Here's a view from our Lake Geneva camera. This is actually pointed straight over Lake Geneva, so not necessarily in the area in the direction of the storms, but definitely shows you at least the potential there for all those clouds that we're seeing. Yes, Michael.
You were mentioning earlier we had a whole bunch of boats docked about an hour ago. You were looking at the tower cam. I think people are really paying attention to these warnings that we even had earlier, which is such great news after what happened about a month ago on Geneva Lake. We should also mention this particular tornado warning, like the other one, is radar indicated. It's not spotter indicated, but treat it the same way, Justin.
Yeah, very good information there, and good warnings as well. Important to be weather aware. These storms did develop very, very fast and very, very quickly off in our western counties. Now they've been with us here for about an hour and a half or so across all of southeast Wisconsin. And the main line of the storms has now moved over Lake Michigan, so that initial line has really impacted everybody here in southeast Wisconsin. But the problem here today is actually on the backside of the storms, and that's where we saw that first tornado warning issued there for parts of Dodge County, Jefferson County, Waukesha County. That warning is still in place here until 11:30, and then we have the new tornado warning for that second kind of notch, that second indentation there, closer to the Burlington area there, and that one goes until 12 at this point, and that one potentially moving off towards the south as well. But as these storms continue to move their way eastward, we could continue to get some of these more notches that are going to develop, some of these hooks that are going to develop as well, and all that activity is eventually moving its way off towards the east. It looks like in the Lyons area is currently where they're seeing some of that best rotation. Michael, did you have some more information?
Well, I just want to say, folks in the back, if we can pull up or call up that downtown tower cam, because it's quite impressive. It's rather eerie, and the fog and the storm starting to roll in and the heavy rains. I know it just takes us. There you go. I mean, the visibility is practically nothing there, Justin.
Yeah, we are seeing some reduced visibility in the Milwaukee area. Milwaukee still remains under that severe thunderstorm warning that has currently been issued across southeast Wisconsin. I believe that warning in the Milwaukee area goes until 12:15, I believe, looking back at some of the recent information there.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, for 12:15, yeah, for Waukesha, Jefferson, and Milwaukee counties. But obviously the tornado warnings are kind of some of the areas where we are kind of focusing our attention here late this morning, I should say. And all that activity is continuing to move its way off towards the east. Lots of rain associated with these, lots of lightning. Lightning can potentially be dangerous and deadly, as we all are aware of. And all of this activity is continuing to move its way eastward. Now, if you live up in Sheboygan County, no warnings for you. The rest of southeast Wisconsin is dealing with all those warnings, though. Sheboygan County not currently warned by anything. In fact, you're pretty much almost done with all of these stronger thunderstorms that we were seeing, but the rest of southeast Wisconsin is still under all of those warnings here early this morning. And any new information, team from the National Weather Service?
They are going to let the Jefferson Waukesha tornado warning end at 11:30 here, so that's just 5 more minutes. Now they're going to be watching the southern end of the storms for additional development. Again, some of those outflow boundaries, some of those winds surging down to the surface can kind of set the stage for additional storms to pop downwind, so we're watching that. So again, the biggest concern here is near the Lyons area, which we are zoomed in on. We've also continued to get a collection of hail reports. So we're seeing the lightning, we're seeing some larger hail. We've been seeing broad rotation with some of these storms here, and they have been popping up very quickly. So as we continue to kind of focus just east of Lake Geneva itself, you're okay because these storms are moving to the east to really southeast at this time at about 35 miles per hour. And so again, you can see just kind of in between Lake Geneva and Lyons, that's probably where the strongest winds are, just right on the southwest side of the Lyons area. And again, that's going to be shooting off to the south and east at about 35 miles per hour. So again, just to recap, they're going to let that tornado warning end for Jefferson and Waukesha County. So great news there, and kind of shifting that focus down to some of our southern spots. We still obviously have area-wide severe thunderstorms with lightning, heavy rain, some hail. That is going all the way through our lakefront counties until 12:15. So at this point, we really can't track a whole lot of, everybody's in it right now. So the bottom line is here, with the exception of the western extreme parts of the viewing area, if you're in western Dodge County, Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, you're in it right now. So as we continue to track these, we're also looking at the potential for some large hail shortly near the Burlington area. So again, within those tornado warned areas, still hail potential, lots of lightning, and then even watching some of the storms north of the viewing area. We'll have to see how that behaves now that things are finally starting to line up. could get more here as the afternoon unfolds.
Yeah, so this is the tornado warned storm right here that Rebecca was just talking about there for northeast parts of Jefferson County, northwest Waukesha County. They're going to let that tornado warning expire here at 11:30, so in just 3 minutes. We do still have that tornado warning there for parts of Walworth, Racine, and Kenosha counties. Anchor Bill Walsh is at the desk with us as well. Bill, do you have a little bit more information to add?
Just a quick update. We've got just under 29,000 power outages. That is the report from We Energies. And then we are getting reports of hail, like Rebecca said, from all over our viewing area. Dime-size hail, some bigger hail from Dodge County as well. So we are monitoring that and also looking for any damage on our social media feeds.
Yeah, thank you, Bill, for that update there. We did have some power outages even before the storms in the Milwaukee area, and obviously it is a warm and a humid day. Now, some of this rain is going to kind of knock down some of those temps a little bit, reduce some of the humidity at least briefly a little bit, but those of you without power, find a way to still stay cool here today. Make sure you're closing those shutters, if you will, if you're maybe streaming us on this morning. Here's a look at the hail product, and hail is a really good indicator of where the strongest of those storms are, and you can really see this one coming in from the Burlington area there, just to the north of Boners Lake, south of the Browns Lake area. Here's a photo of some hail. Do we have a location for this hail that was sent in? Near the Neosho area. Perfect. Yeah, so that looks, it's hard to indicate. You never know how big somebody's hand is, but definitely an inch, maybe an inch and a half there in terms of the size of that hail. So thank you to our viewer for reporting or sending in that report. We appreciate that, and just kind of indicating the strength here of some of these storms as well. Here is that hail core, though, as we call it, in the right kind of there in the corner there, that Racine County corner, if you will, just from Burlington down towards the Boners Lake area. And this is also the area that we are currently watching for the potential there for a tornado. This area is under a tornado warning currently until 12 o'clock here today. This is a radar indicated tornado, so no confirmation yet on this tornado, whether that be radar confirmed tornado or a spotter observing a tornado, but definitely a tornado warning is currently in effect for this area, and you can kind of see how strong it is there based on that hail product that we're seeing, which is nice. In fact, the National Weather Service upping the hail reports there to golf ball sized hail. So that storm definitely has a good hail core on it right now, moving into the Burlington area and moving south and east of there, potentially up to the size of golf balls. So definitely something to be concerned about here on this Monday morning, starting off the week here with a bang in a lot of communities, unfortunately. Right there, right in that notch, as we look at a couple more photos, I'm assuming those are still coming in from the Dodge County area? Okay, excellent. Yeah, so those photos from the hail coming in from the Dodge County area. Rebecca putting in a slice in the storm, looking at how tall that storm is. Rebecca, you want to talk about that information?
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive height. So that really can line up with some large hail. The higher, the taller into the atmosphere these storms are able to build. So we're talking 50,000 foot tops. We've had tornado warnings with storms that are only 20,000 feet over the last week. So again, this is a sizable storm, and this shows you the power of the heat, the humidity, and then some of the other ingredients instability-wise that are coming together. So that is indeed a chunker of a storm there. So again, like Justin mentioned, they are now upping that hail threat to golf ball size coming out of the Burlington area, and that's right where I took a slice of that radar. So again, that is a very strong storm here that is going to be likely putting down some pretty large hail. So that certainly is something that we're going to be very concerned with, and you can kind of see that bullseye, the darkest shades there just east of Burlington, although interesting that hail kind of popped up and started quickly dropping south, so we have to watch. This may be moving even more into closer to the Brighton area, maybe some other smaller communities here, if I can try to find some of those just south of Rosewood. So again, we're a little more rural area here, but certainly with the history of those hail reports, I think it's a pretty safe bet to say that there's going to be some pretty good hail dropping out of that storm here.
Bex, if I might just to interject for a second here, and Justin too, you might want to give your opinion. Drew always likes to say the atmosphere is getting worked over with these storms riding through. We were talking about a gravity wave a little while ago. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens late in the day with the daytime heating if we get a reoccurrence of these storms. I think by that point we're going to be dealing with the frontal boundary. So again, we might not be done with this just yet.
Yeah, it's a good point, Michael. A lot of these storms will leave different gust fronts around, different types of boundaries, and as those interact together, like we saw earlier this morning with the gravity wave action, that's where you can start to see some storms form along some of those different gust fronts, different boundaries that are currently out there. But of most concern right now is that tornado warning that is currently in effect for eastern Walworth County, the western part of Racine County, western Kenosha County, dropping some big hail, as we have just been talking about, hail the size of 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches there, with those hailstones even a little bit larger in some communities. Now, the rest of southeast Wisconsin, besides Sheboygan, Fond du Lac County, are basically under severe thunderstorm warnings. Those still go until 12:15 in many areas. So we still have about 45 minutes here left on a lot of these warnings as they roll in. And as we're seeing up towards the Green Bay area, another good thunderstorm. So that could potentially, if it continues on its current track, could potentially impact the Sheboygan area, which is kind of the one area that is currently not seeing a warning. Rebecca, you have some more information?
So my mom is in Green Bay and just sent me a picture. The Shawano area, 3-inch hail was dropped out of that storm.
Wow.
So again, the trajectory looks like, I mean, I think Sheboygan will be a close call. Sheboygan County will have to potentially watch for that, because this is, for folks that are unfamiliar, this is Shawano County here. So I imagine right when you saw that really kind of spike in like the deep purple, that's likely where that 3-inch hail report dropped. Again, probably Manitowoc County is more in line there, but we'll have to watch if it takes any southern turn. That certainly is strong, and hopefully it falls apart. But there's a little back building there. The National Weather Service now on a call with the Storm Prediction Center for potential watch here for the area, which I believe I saw that. Did I see that?
Yes, that was
okay.
in there. Seems a little bit too late, too late at that point, since all of us are currently under severe thunderstorm warnings, but something the National Weather Service is considering. Looks like they've kind of dropped a few of the warnings, so maybe let's go back to that warning map, since we're just past the 11:30 kind of milestone here, and show everybody who is currently under a warning, who is not. Now, if you live in some of our northern counties like Fond du Lac, Sheboygan counties, you are not under any sort of warning. In fact, you really haven't been this morning. Dodge County, you are now warning free. Jefferson County, you are warning free. The western part of Walworth County, you are warning free as well. But we do still have severe thunderstorm warnings there for almost all of Washington and Ozaukee counties. That one goes until 12:15 here. You can see that as well. And then we have one for Kenosha, Racine, Walworth County, the severe thunderstorm warning in those areas. That one also goes until 12:15. Then we also have a severe thunderstorm warning for Waukesha and Milwaukee counties as well, also until that 12:15 hour. So until these storms, until really the backside of these storms actually moves through, we are going to continue to be dealing with a lot of wind, a lot of hail out there. We've already gotten a couple of reports of some good hailstones, as well as some flooding. I saw the National Weather Service did report a little bit of flooding that was reported in Ozaukee County, I believe. Yeah, up in the Grafton and Saukville areas, some isolated reports of localized street flooding. And sometimes we can see this with these big thunderstorms that initially move through. You get these big bursts of rain where it rains 15, 20, 30 minutes. It's really, really heavy. Even though the ground is super dry right now, it's almost not a good thing when you get so much rain so fast, because the ground can't absorb that rain so much. It needs to be softened a little bit before it can really absorb. So now that we're starting to see more of that rain, we should see some of that flooding even subside a little bit here. And then, of course, we still have that tornado warning there as we kind of recap what we're currently seeing outside. That's just to the east of Lake Geneva, so Lake Geneva not included in that. That goes until noon, so still 25 minutes left here on this morning. We're still seeing some reports there of some broad rotation. I haven't seen any reports of funnel clouds or anything like that in that area. Looks like any of that rotation would probably be at this point as we look at a loop here, probably into western Kenosha County there, north of the Twin Lakes area, to the north and to the east there at Bloomfield. It looks very, very scattered at this point, very broad in terms of any rotation, but we've kind of been seeing some of these brief little spin-ups, if you will, on the velocity product here, potentially indicating that possibility there for a little bit of rotation. So that's why we do still have that tornado warning. And if you live in any of these areas, if you live in the Lyons area, if you live in areas like Powers Lake, Wheatland, Silver Lake, Boners Lake, all of those lakes, those are currently under that tornado warning, and that's where you would want to be in the lowest level of your home or the lowest level of your structure, wherever you are. If you're outside, you want to take caution inside a building. Reporting wind gusts there, 46 miles per hour as well. There, that is in the eastern parts of Walworth County, so the velocity product definitely sampling winds that potentially are strong enough there to be of concern, and that's why the National Weather Service does have both the severe thunderstorm warning in that area as well as has that tornado warning in these areas right now, from Boners Lake into eastern Walworth County down towards the south as well. That is the area currently under that tornado warning. Nothing super concerning looking there on that velocity product, but definitely at least the potential there for some stronger wind gusts. Yes, Michael?
I was going to mention a lot of those communities, I'm sure the storm sirens are going off. Do not be reliant on those. You want to have two other ways to get warnings, like your weather radio, NOAA weather radio, or like our weather app. A very powerful resource. You can see right there in your fingertips what's happening on the radar in real time, and the weather alerts as well.
Yeah, and all of these warnings currently, the severe thunderstorm warnings at least are all for 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as hail the size of 1.5 inches there in diameter. That can definitely do some damage to your roof, to your car if your car is out as well. Currently, we are watching the storm. We did get a report from the emergency manager there in the Burlington area. No hail was currently reported in that area, so that's at least some good news. In those communities, you're looking at a camera there. That's the Lake Geneva camera. Now, the storm is to the east of there as well. This camera view, I believe, is pointed a little bit off towards the west, as well as maybe the south in that area. So if we had turned that camera off towards the east, we could potentially see some of the backside there of the thunderstorm. But here's that tornado warning that is currently still in effect for parts of Walworth, Racine, Kenosha counties. That goes until noon here today. Basically all the rest of our lakeside counties except for Sheboygan County are currently under that severe thunderstorm warning, and then parts of Washington and Waukesha counties are currently under that severe thunderstorm warning as well that we currently do have. Now, Bill Walsh, I believe you have a little bit more in terms of some of the hail as well that's out there, and Amanda's at the desk as well. Thank you both.
Yeah, we are seeing reports of hail from all over our viewing area right now, and we can hear that heavy rain coming outside of the studio. Look at these pictures that have been sent to us by viewers. Bill, do you know where these are from?
Actually, they're cycling through rather quick. So,
yeah, but look at that one. That one is like 5 times the size of a dime.
Right.
I mean, that is huge.
We have gotten pictures in from Dodge County. We got a picture in from Gresham, which is west of Green Bay, with a huge, almost like a baseball-sized piece of hail. Yeah, you see a quarter right there. That will cause damage.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that's a quarter or
that lands on something that you
absolutely
you value.
A windshield, a roof. So you know, if you're in these areas where this warning is still in effect, you definitely want to, if you have a driveway, get it parked inside or get it to an area where there's some shelter overhead, and get yourself inside, because again, if it can do some damage to a car or a roof, it can do some damage to you as well.
Just one quick thing from We Energies. They are now over 30,000 customers without power, so that has been kind of ticking up. It was under 29,000 for a minute there. We are now over 30,000 customers without power, so lots of folks out there dealing with the effects of this weather.
Right, and we were dealing with kind of a form of a drought before this, you know, going many days without rain. A lot of people have brown grass and dying plants and flowers, but this is definitely an excessive solution to that problem, and could be a dangerous one if you don't take the proper precautions.
Yeah, thank you, Bill and Amanda. And speaking of that drought, we do have a new alert that has been issued. Rebecca, what do you have on that?
Yeah, so they've now issued a flood advisory. So that's going to go in effect until 2:45 this afternoon. I had to pull most of the warnings off just to let you see that flood advisory. So what they're looking at there is, and we've had one report of just over an inch of rain. Now, with other reports between 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain, with an additional 1 to 2 inches, that could certainly cause at least some isolated areas of minor flooding. And like Justin said, because we've been so parched, we may pond over, may briefly flood over before the ground can soak it in. Just it's a little harder because we've been so rain deprived, and then just getting what could be upwards of 3 inches of rain is going to be a bit of an issue there. So again, we still have the severe thunderstorm warnings, but I've taken those off for the moment. And also just looking at, it does look like the Storm Prediction Center, in conjunction with the National Weather Service in Green Bay, has reissued a severe thunderstorm watch. So nothing that includes us, but if we continue on that same trajectory, that may also eventually mean more storms as the day unfolds here. But then I kind of want to go back to our velocity product here, as they are still kind of monitoring a new area of concern for rotation, and that would be into the Twin Lakes area. So you can kind of see New Munster to Silver Lake to Twin Lakes. That's where we're going to be looking at some rotation there. So I'll go ahead and get kind of down there. And again, you know, it doesn't look overly impressive here at the moment for strong rotation, but certainly some broad rotation is what they're focused on now at the National Weather Service. So we'll continue to kind of watch for that.
Yeah, that's right in that area there, the southwest corner there of Kenosha County. That should shortly move down towards Illinois and move into northern Illinois as well. And they did actually reissue the severe thunderstorm warning for Racine and Kenosha County for baseball-sized hail. So hail to potentially the size of baseballs here. That's actually going to allow your phone to go off. So if you live in the Racine, Kenosha County area, even if you're in the eastern part of that county and you might not be under the tornado warning, your phone may have just gone off within wireless emergency alert for the potential for destructive hail. So if you have the ability to put your car under something that's a little bit sturdier, squeeze it into the garage, find a parking garage here real quick, those would be good options for you as well, because we are seeing some of that rarely large hail roll into parts of Racine, Kenosha County. Here's a look at the velocity product. This is just to the northeast of the Twin Lakes area, so that area we were kind of looking at earlier with the potential there for a velocity up to 44 miles per hour. So definitely that potential there for some stronger wind gusts. And this is the area we're kind of seeing a little bit of that rotation. It looks very, very muddled. Nothing that's looking super tight or anything like that, but definitely seeing some of that rotation. That's the camera over downtown Milwaukee. Actually, that picture looks a little bit better than what it did just a little bit ago, although the rain here at the studio seems to be coming down a little bit harder right now across parts of the area. Michael, do you have a little bit more information to add?
Well, I'm just going to mention with these radial velocity products, it's important to mention, I think sometimes we forget to do so, the color schematic. A lot of times when you see the red, that means the air, the wind is going away from the radar. Blue or green means it's going toward. So you're looking for a couplet, a nice tight couplet where the colors come together. That indicates rather significant rotation potentially. So that's one big key that we look at when in terms of rotation and tornadic activity.
Yeah, good information there, Michael. And you can see on that velocity that we were just looping through, like how that area of rotation kind of looks a little bit tighter, and then it looks a little bit broader, then it looks a little bit tighter. But certainly, as you look at everything on radar, really into that Kenosha County area is really where we're seeing the strongest rain right now. Probably the heaviest hail is in this area as well, probably the most lightning strikes. I would say that tornado kind of warning is becoming a little bit more fuddled there with the latest radar images. We're not seeing as good of a notch as what we were previously. We're not seeing as good rotation as what we were previously, but that warning still goes until 12 o'clock today, until noon here today. So currently 11:44 on the time. That tornado warning will expire here in about 15 minutes or so. And as of this point, that tornado warning should kind of move over the Wisconsin-Illinois border here within the next 5 to 10 minutes or so, I would guess, and that would allow that tornado warning to be expired or potentially allow that to end early. But we are certainly seeing some very good heavy rain across all of southeast Wisconsin, a lot of good hailstones coming in. I mean, baseball-sized hail there in Racine and Kenosha County. That is going to cause some serious damage here. Here's a look at that hail product, and you can really see, we can put a query on that as well right in the center of that storm. So this is the same storm that we were dealing with the potential there for some of the tornado potential, and that is where we're also seeing potentially hail up to the size of 1.5 inches as well. So some pretty large hail. Baseball sized hail would be 2.5 inch size hail. So definitely that potential there for hail between 1 to 2 or even 2.5 inches there on that hail product. It's centered right around Fox River to the west of Paddock Lake, but this is all moving its way towards the southeast. So if you live kind of in Kenosha proper, if you live in the Bristol area, if you live in Pleasant Prairie, those are areas where you're going to want to take precautions and maybe try and get your car under something, or if you have a patio furniture that's outside, try and bring that in the garage or under something a little bit more sturdy as of this point. But we do still have those severe thunderstorm warnings that go until 12:15. The tornado warning in this area goes until noon as well. So these storms are definitely packing a punch, especially kind of the backside of some of those storms as well right now, packing a punch across parts of southeast Wisconsin.
I think it's worth putting a track on this
All
here,
right.
and unfortunately I have to zoom out to get it to move because it's kind of diving south, and like you said, it'll be over the border shortly, but we don't want to forget our viewers here that are right there in southern Kenosha County. So this, to me, looks to be dropping almost due south or south-southeast.
Yeah.
So still places, and I guess because it probably is now fanning out into Illinois, we're not getting a good handle at timing, but clearly we can probably say safely here, Wilmot, Camp Lake, Liberty Corners within minutes, Lake Shangri-La, it'll be probably a close call there. Trevor, other locations here. If you're watching, if you have friends or family, you've got probably some really big hail coming your way. We've seen plenty of hail reports, and I would say this is probably the biggest impressive hail return we've seen so far today. So that is something to definitely
yeah,
keep a
that's
close
in that
watch
area
on.
right there. And the National Weather Service did just update the tornado warning. So if you can go back to the warning product here and show people what the latest polygon here looks like. So if you're in Racine County, especially western Racine County, you are no longer in that tornado warning. So that is some good news for you. So if you live in the Burlington area, you are no longer in that tornado warning. Eastern Walworth County, you are no longer in any tornado warning or any severe thunderstorm warning. So you are kind of severe clear as of this point. The strongest of the storms has now moved past of you. But the western parts of Kenosha County, you are still under that tornado warning here for another 13 minutes as things currently stand, and that is for western Kenosha County, and that is all activity that is moving its way off towards the southeast. The rest of southeast Wisconsin continues to remain here under severe thunderstorm warning. So the rest of Racine County, Kenosha County, severe thunderstorm warnings. That is for the potential of hail about 2 to 2 inches in diameter. Waukesha and Milwaukee counties, you are also under a severe thunderstorm warning as well. And then even up to our north, even Ozaukee County, Washington County remains under some severe thunderstorm warnings as of this point right now. Rebecca, some latest information?
I mean, the hail continues to just grow. This is getting quite unusual. It can happen, but in this part of the country, we're now getting reports of softball size hail in the Appleton area. So that's just on the north end of Lake Winnebago. You can see that warning there on the north end of Lake Winnebago. And word from the Weather Service is they see no sign that that'll lose intensity as that drops south. And that's going to be bad news because that could certainly cut into Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County. So even though that's outside of our area with the severity of that hail size.
Yeah, we've had a couple of hail reports. In fact, could we look at some of the storm reports there? I believe I have that part
Sure,
a little bit farther down because we're seeing a couple reports come in. I'm seeing some from Oconomowoc and even down towards other areas. Delafield reported some hail as well. And as we load that product up, we can take a look at some of the hail reports that we've gotten. Not many other reports. There was a report of a funnel cloud briefly there across parts of Dodge County as well, something that we'll definitely be concerned about. But a couple of hail reports here as we query some of these. Start from north to south. How about in the Beaver Dam area there? Juneau reported hail report. That was at 10:26, so it's almost an hour and a half ago. But that was inch-size hail. And then you got down towards the Watertown area. This was the area that was almost under that tornado warning. Oconomowoc reporting hail about 2 inches in size. In fact, a couple reports in and around the Oconomowoc area there, northwestern Waukesha County, 1.8 inch size hail in the Lac La Belle area, right along that 94 corridor and kind of in that northwestern corner. So really, that was the area that we're watching for the potential tornado warning. That was the first tornado warning that we had. 2.5 inch size hail in the Oconomowoc area. So baseball sized hail reported there, definitely doing some damage. And then do we have a couple more reports even farther south of there? Or was that basically it down towards Walworth County or any of our southern areas there? If
I'm going to go ahead and pan down. I want to
farther
get
to the
all
south. Yeah,
four
there we
of
go.
those reports, but yeah, let's take you
Burlington,
down
Waterford had a couple reports of some tornadoes as well in western Racine County in the Waterford area, 1 inch size hail. That was just about 16 minutes ago, so that report fairly recent, still associated with basically the same storm that we've been talking about there into Kenosha County, and then Browns Lake as well in the Racine area reported about 1 inch size hail as well. And as Rebecca was mentioning, softball size hail reported with some of these storms there to the north of Lake Winnebago. If you live in Fond du Lac, Sheboygan counties, this is your early heads up. Get that car under something sturdy. Go find a parking garage real quick to put your car into. Stay there. Move some things around in your garage to fit the car in there because that is 3 inch size hail. That is the size of softball. That was reported an hour ago, but this storm continues to drop hail that large. And the National Weather Service, this area has not really seen the severe thunderstorm. So the rest of southeast Wisconsin, as Michael was talking about earlier, is kind of worked over. But up to our north, they have not really seen the severe thunderstorm warnings. Fond du Lac, Sheboygan counties, you have not been under those severe thunderstorm warnings yet. So as this storm moves in and potentially could impact definitely Manitowoc County and potentially even Sheboygan County if it continues on its current trajectory, 3 inch size hail will do some big time damage, especially to your car, your patio furniture. So go ahead and make those priorities and figure out a way to get your car under something sturdy. And obviously locally, we're still dealing with some of our own areas with some hail, especially down there into the Kenosha County storm. That is the storm that is still tornado warned. We still got about 9 minutes left on that tornado warning. I would expect that to expire here at noon. I don't really see any information suggesting why the National Weather Service would go ahead and extend that any further. But definitely Milwaukee metro area, You're seeing some really good rain, even up to the Grafton area, seeing some really good rainfall here right now. Racine County seeing some pretty good rain, although maybe a little bit of a lull in the action. But by and large, I would say Kenosha County is definitely getting hit the hardest right now. Is that where that camera, that DOT camera, is this Kenosha County? I-40, yeah, that's Kenosha County there, I-41-94 there at WIS 165. You can see how heavy some of that rain is coming down. You can even see some of the brake lights with some of the trucks and cars. You can really see all that activity. And look at all the lightning as well. This is just kind of in Kenosha County. We can actually put a query on that to see how much lightning has been happening here over the last 15 minutes or so. Yeah, let's put a query on that in Kenosha County to see how much lightning we've been dealing with here. 717 lightning strikes just over the last 15 minutes. So these storms are very, very intense right now in Kenosha County. By and large, the area that we're probably seeing some very good hailstones currently falling, in addition to all the torrential rain that's coming down, as you can see on the DOT camera there. It looks like even some truck there, actually multiple cars are pulled off on the side of the road in those areas. So keep it slow right now if you are driving on the freeway. If you know somebody who's driving on 4194 through Kenosha County, might want to give them a call, give them the heads up. Number one, they're going into an area where you could have some hail and some very heavy rain, but you might want to delay your trip. You're not going to get there any faster, trust me, until this storm really passes through. But lots of lightning currently in that area, and we do still have that tornado warning as well. That is for western Kenosha County. Let's look at the velocity product. Let's give a look at some of the rotation that we could potentially be seeing in that area. Let's see, this would be Racine County, that's Burlington area there. So if you go a little bit farther to the south and see if we're seeing really anything, we're looping this. So basically any of the rotation honestly should probably be into northern Illinois, I would say at this point. So it doesn't look likely that they would re-extend any of that tornado warning information that we're currently seeing in that area. Anything new from the National Weather Service team?
They are going to be coming down with a flash flood warning now for Kenosha County and western Racine County. So we're going to have to touch on that in just a moment. I did just want to touch on those winds here briefly. And it does certainly look like those are coming down a little bit. Maybe, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, probably still a good likelihood here. That is under severe limits, but if we go over to our watch and warning, and we have them stacked with the highest priority, so you're going to see the tornado warning, you're going to see the severe thunderstorm warning, you're going to see the heat advisory, but we now also, if I can take some of those off, and you'll have to we're working here together on the fly, there's also that flash flood warning now, and again, now they're saying between 2 to 3 inches of rain has fallen with an additional 1 to 2, so as I go ahead and try to remove I'll remove the tornado warning there for a moment. I'm going to remove that severe thunderstorm warning for a moment to reveal that flash flood warning that you see in that kind of dark red color. So again, that is the area of concern. We've been showing you the radar, very torrential rain with the darkest shades of red that we've been continuing to show you, in addition to all the lightning. And again, just because we have been so moisture starved, I think at this point the ground is probably struggling to soak that in immediately. It will in time because we certainly need it, but in the short run here, the next few hours, we certainly could be dealing with some flooding concerns there. And I'll go ahead and just put those other more high level warnings back on. So that's going to cover it up, but there's your severe thunderstorm warning. And again, the tornado warning, which is probably, like Justin mentioned, going to expire, and it does look like they are going to expire that tornado warning. So that is great news there.
Michael, did you have a little bit more information?
With the flash flood warning, in this case, it's famine or feast, because we had such parched conditions for so long, and now we have 2-3 inches of rain falling in such a short amount of time. You're getting, like you said, Justin, problems with runoff. So we need this to sink into the ground, actually.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a welcome rain for many, but it coming down a little bit too much too fast here, especially across areas like Racine, Kenosha County, where we do now have that flash flood warning. All right, so the National Weather Service is going to expire the tornado warning here at noon. We will still have some severe thunderstorm warnings lingering beyond the noon hour, but we'll probably wrap up some of our wall-to-wall coverage here around the noon hour for our team, just to give them a heads up there. But you look at all the rain that's currently falling. You can see the hazard lights on some of the cars there. This is in the Kenosha County area with all that heavy rain. You got semi-trucks off to the side. That heavy rain is still currently falling. You can see the area, though, of all those lightning strikes. It's really starting to move towards the south. So this most impactful storm is currently about to move into parts of northern Illinois, as well as off towards Lake Michigan as well. But this is the Pleasant Prairie area. This is Kenosha. You are going to hit really hard right now by some of that heavy rain. That is currently the area that is currently under that flash flood warning as well. And it'll take a couple of hours for some of the runoff to subside a little bit. So if you go and you find a low-lying area, make sure to turn around, do not drown. That is the kind of motto there from the National Weather Service. We do still have these severe thunderstorm warnings for the rest of the area as well. These still go until 12:15. We'll see if the National Weather Service at the top of the hour gives an update on that. And we also don't want to forget about this storm that the National Weather Service was kind of giving us an early warning on. This storm has been dropping very, very large hail in the Appleton area, and it's likely going to continue to do so as it moves its way off towards the south. So this is the hail product here. This is in the Appleton area, north of Lake Winnebago. Some really large hail has been reported with this storm, softball-sized hail. If you live in Fond du Lac County, if you live in Sheboygan counties, this is your early heads up to go ahead and find some place to put your car before some of that hail reaches you. You will definitely not be mad at yourself if you go ahead and do that, if this storm continues to hold on to its strength and move its way off towards the south, which at least a couple minutes ago the National Weather Service was thinking that that would definitely be the case as that storm continues to move its way towards the south across into our local area. Still got a little bit of time before it would reach Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County, so you do still have a little bit of time there until that storm, that impactful storm up in the Appleton area, really reaches us. Let's do kind of a quick recap in terms of our local radar image and what we're currently seeing in terms of the severe thunderstorm warnings, the tornado warning that is technically still out there for another 3 minutes. So if you live in Waukesha County, your storm is basically done. I would expect you to get lifted from the severe thunderstorm warning here shortly. Currently, that still goes until 12:15. Similarly, up in Washington, Ozaukee County, you're probably just about done here with that severe thunderstorm warning. Currently still goes until 12:15 in those areas as well. Racine and Kenosha County, a little bit more heavy rain, a little bit more severe thunderstorm warning activity is still in those areas as well. You can see as we loop it, really Kenosha County, you're kind of the emphasis there, and that warning still goes until 12:15 right now. And then as of right now, we still got about 2 minutes left here on this tornado warning that is currently still impacting parts of western Fond du Lac County. But by and large, the rotation there has now moved its way south of the Wisconsin-Illinois border into parts of northern Illinois as well. We have picked up a lot of hail reports with this. We picked up a lot of rain reports. We're going to continue to bring you that information. There is the question on whether or not we see any more storms here throughout the rest of the day. The weather models did not do a good job with these storms here earlier this morning. So it's whether the atmosphere can recover a little bit more. If we do get any sunshine here throughout the rest of the early afternoon, that could potentially allow something to spark later on today. But the atmosphere right now is pretty worked over across basically all of southeast Wisconsin. So there is that potential here for a little bit more storm development. And obviously the rest of the team will keep you updated on all that information here. But team, are you seeing any other information? Otherwise, we can probably switch over to the news at noon here in just a minute.
Yeah, I think we could certainly wrap up some coverage. We know that this could continue throughout the day on and off at the National Weather Service office right now. They are chewing on what to do with the severe thunderstorm watch. So it is up across northeastern Wisconsin, and they had thoughts to extend that through the lake zones, but they're now working on locally extending it to some of our counties. Now, whether that means they're thinking in a few hours we're still going to see additional coverage, I would imagine so, because as you can see, this is kind of starting to exit our area. But now I think what concerns me right now is the fact that they just popped a tornado warning, and I'll pop into the Green Bay National Weather Service office here, and it looks like they just issued a tornado warning for what initially we were so concerned with the large hail against softball-sized hail out of Appleton. What I thought was interesting out of that was not moving very quickly. It was more stationary as it continued to grow. So again, just a quick note here that yes, that is outside of the viewing area, but that is potentially heading our way. That one could be a slow mover. So if we get out of coverage, just be prepared. We may have to pop back into wall to wall if that tornado warning would continue to dive to the south and southeast, as most of these storms have today. So you can brace for that. And again, that would be, I mean, that is right up to the edge of the northeast corner of Fond du Lac County and Sheboygan County.
Yeah, this would be for this storm right here in the Appleton area. Still reported 3-inch size hail. They do now have a tornado warning. If that tornado warning or any severe thunderstorm warnings are issued for Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties, we would continue to bring that information here to you as well. But the tornado warning for Kenosha County has now been allowed to expire here. In our southern counties, we do still have some severe thunderstorm warnings across the rest of southeast Wisconsin. Those currently still go until 12:15. So we've still got 15 minutes or so for some of these warnings, mainly for a wind as well as a hail threat. The potential there for some heavy rain is certainly there, especially for some of our lakeside areas. But I think by and large, most of these areas that are currently under warnings, those will continue to expire and continue to weaken. We'll continue to watch that storm up in the Appleton area. Thank you for staying with us during all this tornado coverage and this severe thunderstorm coverage that we've had here across southeast Wisconsin. We'll continue to track some of that activity up to the north. Rebecca, do you have some more information there?
Yep, we need to go back up to the valley. There's a confirmed tornado now in Menasha. So again, that's right near, and again, because it's heading this way, I think we need to take a look at that with considerable hail attached to that warning. So I'm going to go over to the rotation product here, and I think we need to go ahead and just take a look at that. And I'll have to switch it over to the Green Bay radar. So you're just going to give me a moment here while we work and talk at the same time. Again, that is not good news, and wow, that is by far the strongest and tightest returns we have seen on our rotation product today. That tornado is really in our in-house system, you know, is querying maybe 75 miles per hour. Again, that's certainly dangerous. That is even approaching. Wind itself is near EF0 strength there. But that Winnebago, Calumet, Outagamie, 3-county section here. So again, this is not good news. Let me just take a look quickly at, they're saying that is moving southeast at 40. All right, so let's go ahead and just track that out. And again, just to get that track that far, I need to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. And I'm gonna just take it back a few frames so I can kind of see that movement in greater detail. But I would say we're probably looking at something like this, and we'll take it out about 40 miles an hour. So, Kiel at 12:47, and then basically by 12:50, that could be pushing into Fond du Lac.
Yeah, so
and
right now
Sheboygan
would be the time
counties.
to prepare. If you live in Fond du Lac, if you live in Sheboygan counties, potentially a very impactful storm could be moving your way. It has to move through basically another county before it reaches our local area, but a considerable tornado has been confirmed there in around the Appleton area, kind of that 3-county area there, Winnebago, Calumet, and Outagamie counties as well. That's where that tornado could potentially be. And also remember, this is the storm we were talking about a little bit ago with that potential for 3-inch size hail. So that is currently moving towards our direction. Right now, we do not have any severe thunderstorm warnings for these counties or tornado warnings for these counties. We'll see how that severe thunderstorm and that confirmed tornado does interact, but still a county away. So I think we would be okay to switch over gears here into the news at noon here shortly, and then we'll continue to impact you. If that does become a warning for us, we would obviously cut in with all that latest information, switch things around here. Rebecca taking over here on the news at noon. But this is the hail product there showing where that hail is potentially. And once again, as we were talking about earlier with some of the storms in Dodge County, down in Kenosha County, where we were seeing some of that large hail, those are the areas that potentially were kind of the strongest of storms. And where you see the strongest storms and the largest hail, typically those sometimes have the biggest tornado threats as well. But right in the Appleton area there, if you're familiar with the area, we're just north of here of Lake Winnebago as well. This is the area that really saw some of the heavy hail, or the very, very large hail as well. Also, this is the tower cam. This is our DOT camera down in Kenosha County. You can see things have definitely gotten a lot better. Previously, we were seeing a lot of semi-trucks and cars pulled over onto the side of the roadways. Those have now been allowed to move because the rain has definitely lightened up a little bit. You can see some of that heavier rain down towards the Waukegan area, McHenry area. But locally, a couple of pockets of some heavy rain, a couple of pockets here where you could see some gusty wind or some small hail, or some of those communities that are still dealing with that. We do still have these severe thunderstorm warnings locally that do go until 12:15. So areas like Milwaukee, Racine, Kenosha counties, all those warnings there still go for another 10 minutes or so until 12:15. But locally, we do not have any tornado warnings that are currently have been issued across these communities. We are all done with the tornado threat, at least locally for now. We will continue to watch that storm that we were talking about earlier up towards the Appleton area. But locally, we are tornado warning free at this hour. We are still under severe thunderstorm thunderstorm warnings, though. Those still go for another 10 minutes here. And we're really seeing a lot of weakening trends with some of these storms. Definitely some hail. We've gotten reports of power outages over 30 minutes. We'll give you that update here in just a little bit. We're seeing a lot of hail reports coming in from southeast Wisconsin. We've already had hail reports of 2.5 inches there in diameter of some hail locally up towards the Appleton area. That's going to be the next storm that's potentially in question. You can see right now that tornado warning goes right up to the county line there in Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County. So if this storm continues to hold its strength, we would continue to see that tornado warning move its way towards the south and potentially see a tornado warning issued for parts of Fond du Lac as parts of Sheboygan County as well. That would be the next one to be under that information. But right now we are tornado warning free, so we do not have any current threats in terms of tornadoes in those areas. Okay, but we do have, so we're going to stay on with some weather coverage here for a little bit. Okay. All right. So let's recap. Let's look at all the current warnings that we currently have across southeast Wisconsin. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings locally still in effect for another 9 minutes or so until 12:15. Ozaukee, Washington County, that goes until 12:15 there. Really, it's just Ozaukee County at this point. And then we're also seeing some more there for Waukesha as well as Milwaukee County. You are still under a severe thunderstorm warning. Once again, Waukesha, you're pretty much in the clear. Milwaukee County is seeing that a severe thunderstorm warning as well. All right, new severe thunderstorm warning issued. This is for that big storm up in Appleton. So we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued. This goes until 1:30, folks. This goes for 90 minutes long, basically, for this storm. This is kind of a slower moving storm. You can see how expansive it is there right around the Appleton area. We have a confirmation from the National Weather Service up in Green Bay that this tornado was a significant tornado. That is the information that the National Weather Service up in Green Bay is currently seeing. We had reports of power flashes as well. This is the type of tornadic activity you see down to the south. This is Oklahoma, Kansas type stuff where you're seeing big power flashes as those tornadoes are coming through. They're tearing down the power lines. As a result of that, the transformers blow and you get these big flashes of light associated with them. So that is something we are going to be watching very, very carefully here as we go into the next hour or so, as this potentially moves its way off towards the south, potentially impacting parts of Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County areas shortly. That tornado warning right now just up to our north, that tornado goes until 12:45. That warning there goes until 12:45. Now, right now, none of our northern counties are under any tornado warnings, but that is potentially moving our way. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings, however, that have been newly issued for almost the entirety there of Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County. Technically, western Fond du Lac County, you're not included in that, but that goes until 1:30. That is an extremely long severe thunderstorm warning. They typically do not issue them for this long. I think the reasoning that they've issued that so long is because of how impactful this storm is that they're seeing. In fact, they're looking at a debris signature. Maybe we can pull up the correlation coefficient here on our radar image, because the National Weather Service is looking at a debris ball potentially on that storm up in the Appleton area as well. And that's the area that we are seeing potentially a very, very impactful storm as of this point. At the very least would be something that would potentially cause some big time damage. Might need to maybe switch over to the Green Bay radar. I wonder if that would make a difference there. Not really. Yeah.
When you get kind of in those fringe areas between the Milwaukee
Oh, yeah.
site, so you kind of see what looks like it's just south of Appleton, almost about to hit Lake Winnebago. Same thing. So even if we're looking at the Milwaukee radar here, I think either way's got to look at it. So that's now we're right there around Neenah. Out of the fire department in Darboy, he reports seeing the tornado come down, and then, like Justin mentioned, seeing the power flashes to the west. They're in a quick trip. How very Wisconsin, taking shelter, which is great. So again, that's not great there. We don't often see that, so that would give you even further confirmation that it is not radar rotation aloft, that this is reaching out. Again, no pictures, but a report from the fire department that they have seen that come down.
Yeah, this is what we would basically call a radar confirmed tornado, and we also had confirmation from spotters that they were reporting that tornado as well, as it was right around the Appleton area, now between Menasha there, just to the south of there. This is the area currently that we're watching for potentially a large and potentially destructive tornado currently moving up to our north. Now, this is north of our local area, so this is north of Lake Winnebago. If you go towards the south, you can see we are there towards parts of Fond du Lac County, parts of Sheboygan County, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning. The National Weather Service is giving big heads up here. So if you live in these areas that we are kind of highlighting right here, even a little bit farther south, Plymouth, you could potentially be in the track of this storm, the St. Cloud area there as well. Looks like as the tornado warning currently moving off towards the southeast, we could potentially see it missing the city of Fond du Lac itself, which would be some great news. But that is what we call a debris drop, a correlation coefficient drop, which would indicate the potential that debris is being lofted into the atmosphere, whether that's tree branches or parts of homes, different things like that. That is definitely a concern here as that storm moves its way in from the north. So that's up towards the Appleton area. That is moving its way south towards us. Now we do still have locally a couple more minutes left here on a couple more warnings. In fact, they did reissue there a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Racine and Kenosha counties. This one now goes until 1:15. So as kind of this last little bit of this storm kind of peters itself out and moves over Lake Michigan, that is the area where we could potentially see another round of maybe some stronger wind gusts associated with that. And the rest of the severe thunderstorm warnings, I believe, have now expired. Yes, that is true. Or the National Weather Service will be expiring them here at 12:15. So Waukesha, Milwaukee, Ozaukee, Washington counties, you're basically all wrapped up here with the severe potential. Your warnings will expire in the next 3 minutes at 12:15. But areas like Racine County especially, and then a little bit there into Kenosha County, we are seeing still a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued right along 4194, seeing some pretty good heavy rain. Franksville, Caledonia, Yorkville, you're all seeing some pretty good heavy rain. That activity is all moving its way towards the east. So Wind Point, Racine itself, even the Mount Pleasant area are likely going to get parts of that storm as well as that activity moves its way off towards the east. Kenosha County, you were kind of under the gun earlier today for the potential there for some really heavy rain as well. Most of that storm has, most of that earlier storm has kind of moved out, but as this little cluster here moves its way towards the south, would be in the Kenosha area there a little bit after 12:30. Racine kind of within the next 4 or 5 minutes or so, and that's kind of the leading edge of the storms. But as we've seen with a lot of storms here today, it's not just the leading edge that we have to be concerned about. It's also what's on the backside of these storms. That's where we've seen some of the rotation, some of the spin-ups that have been happening as well. Here's the latest on the hail tracker. Not really seeing much. A little bit right there in the Yorkville area. Maybe the potential for a little bit of small hail. I believe that severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued, yeah, it's just for 1-inch size hail. So that would be quarter-size hail, as well as the potential for some 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well. So we have 2 warnings currently in effect here for southeast Wisconsin. Not seeing anything too impressive there on that velocity product, at least down to the south. But all this activity right here, so West Bend, Milwaukee, Waukesha, you're going to expire in 2 minutes. Besides that, we have 2 current active warnings, one that we were just talking about in Racine, Kenosha counties. That one goes until 1:15. And the other one, which is probably of more concern right now, is up in Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties. That's where we also have a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued until 1:30, a very, very long time on each of these warnings as well. And that one is more impactful because we're seeing a lot of ground truth to a lot of those areas that are going to move towards areas like Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties as well. But we're definitely seeing a good chunk of the area currently still under warnings. But as I mentioned, a lot of these areas will drop off here at 12:15. But we're seeing some warnings still up to our north as well as to our south. Bill and Amanda at the desk have a little bit more information for us as well.
Yeah, it looks like one of our reporters, Jenna Wells, is out in the thick of this storm. The information that we have is that she's heading north.
North out of Milwaukee County.
Out of Milwaukee County. She's under a tunnel right now, so we're not really seeing a whole lot. The skies there where she is look blue. The ground is wet. We're seeing construction crews in an unrelated situation, but wherever she is headed north out of Milwaukee, it looks decent there.
I am told I-43 northbound trying to head out of Milwaukee County, 39,000 and change customer outages. That is reported from We Energies. That is, oh my goodness, I just hit refresh, excuse me. 55,881 outages reported by We Energies right now.
And that is a significant jump because I looked maybe about 10 minutes ago,
yes,
and it was at that 39,000 number. So, and the last time we reported those numbers, that was maybe 15 minutes ago. So these numbers, maybe 20 minutes ago, these numbers jumping from 18 or so thousand 25 minutes ago to 55,000.
Right.
Is pretty significant.
We can send it out to Jenna Wells now, headed northbound with some rather dark-looking skies in her horizon. Jenna, what are you seeing out there?
That's right, Bill and Amanda. We first were driving southbound. We were going to head towards that Kenosha Racine area. Thankfully, obviously, the roads were not too bad, and it was pretty clear heading southbound to blue skies. But as you can see, now that we're heading north on 43 here, just about to pass the Howard exit, 43 north near Bayview, the skies are definitely a bit more ominous looking forward. On 43 southbound, right before the Howard exit, there was a massive puddle of flooding. Cars were trying to go in and around it. That was notable right there on the highway. And a second ago, when you did with me as we were going under that tunnel, I'm not sure if you see, obviously unrelated, but it appeared that Greenfield Fire and Rescue and the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department were responding to a driver who had hit the side of the wall in the tunnel. Obviously not able to know if that was due to the weather or not, but there are some of those lower areas on the highway that are having some water pool from how much rain fell there for that short amount of time. But so far, at least in Milwaukee here, Milwaukee County, pretty clear on the highways again, except for those pooling and puddling areas. You might be able to tell on the right side here where some of that water is kind of pooling at the side of the highway. But we are going to head north as we know that there is possibly some more storms and systems moving through up there. And you can just tell the skies are a bit darker looking north. Here we are kind of coming up to the skyline as well. Otherwise, though, it did clear up basically around noon as we were driving from the station parking lot in West Allis. I would say the worst of it that we saw here in West Allis was around maybe 11:40. I was just trying to walk from the station to the car, and I was absolutely soaked with rain at that time. But again, clearing up here in Milwaukee on the roads, and we'll stay tuned with you guys as we head further north toward Sheboygan.
Jenna, aside from the large pools of water, possible flash flooding, which is significant, and the car in that possibly unrelated incident under the tunnel there, have you seen any stranded motorists or any accidents or anything that looks like an issue that's been
No, we
caused
have
by
not
the
seen
weather?
it. Yeah, no. Just on this drive, basically down to the airport from West Allis, we haven't seen any other issues other than the one spot specifically on 43 South near the Howard exit, where it was quite a lot of water that was pulled up. So cars trying to navigate that on the highway. That was probably the most significant impact that we have seen just in Milwaukee right now on 43.
All right, Jenna Wells reporting live for us, going north on I-43 out of Milwaukee County. Have some hail pictures, Rebecca.
Yeah, we have had hail up to softball size in this area. I just want to point out, if Jenna can still hear, maybe just head right to the Fond du Lac area. They're thinking that it's probably going to be very close to Fond du Lac proper. But I mean, this is very intense. Just our in-house product querying potentially over 110 miles per hour. Again, confirmed tornado here on the ground. And again, it's moving to the southeast at about 40 miles per hour. Within tornado warned storms, we've also been seeing some extremely large hail, as you can see with that picture there. Some reports have been up to softball size in this area. We've had reports here 2.5 inches, so we've had some baseball size hail in and around and just east of Oconomowoc. So again, this is kind of all showing you how primed the atmosphere here has been for the severe weather, with everything from large, extremely large hail, like Justin mentioned. Some of this is more like what you would hear in classic Tornado Alley, Nebraska, Oklahoma. Michael, you have some new information?
Yeah, the Weather Service saying rotation near Nina is appearing to be dropping straight south now.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. If Jenna can hear, or if producers can pass along, I would actually shoot her right up to Fond du Lac, and kind of hope for the best here. But if we I want to back up a few frames to really kind of see. Yep, you can see it almost took like a turn back to the southwest, almost like that last frame there. So not good news. Let's go ahead and just drop it. 40 miles an hour is the forward speed on it right now. So Fond du Lac itself, 12:51. Time now, 12:20. So you've got 30 minutes before this powerful storm moves into, one of our larger cities here. So the interesting thing is, because we're right on the cusp, National Weather Service out of Green Bay also covers Fond du Lac County. We've got 2 Weather Service offices keeping very close tabs on this. Let's see, and what they're saying out of Green Bay is that tornado continuing to move over the water as a water spout almost due south. So that will be extremely interesting. Generally, if a tornado goes over the open water, it will kind of fade out. But it may just kind of skirt along the edge too, so we'll kind of have to wait and see. But for now, that appears to be an extremely dangerous storm here. I'm just kind of taking the radar off just so you can see. Okay, so it is right on the edge. Boy, that'll be a close call. Right on the edge there of the land and the water. I gotta say, I don't know that I've ever even had to, in 20 plus years, track something so close to this strength and then right out over the water. So again, that's moving due south, and if that starts to move over Oshkosh, I mean, this could even take a southwest turn. I would say anywhere northern Fond du Lac County needs to really, you've got 30 minutes. If you've got friends, family, I know a lot of people don't watch TV or are working right now. Make sure your friends are aware that this storm is coming.
Rebecca, we got a note from one of our spotters, Mark Fox, in the Neenah, Manassas area. He says apparently a firehouse roof has collapsed. I don't have any information more than that, so just FYI.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like what they did is they kind of now put that warning a little further west, so that's Winnebago County until 1 o'clock. Okay, and the leading edge of that rain is getting close to Fond du Lac County. So that's coming for you, Fond du Lac County, that is coming. Let's quickly just take a look at the hail. And I'm so used to driving the radar over there. I'm standing by the chroma wall, but I'm also driving at the same time, so I can kind of let you take over there. So again, there's potentially hail wrapped up or within the same proximity of that tornado there. Moving south as it hits the water, this will be really interesting to see. Is it starting to push a little further to the west? It appears it is. Why don't we go ahead and switch it over to our reflectivity, our radar, the product most folks are familiar looking at here, just to also kind of give you the intensity of the rain that is falling. We also, keep in mind, we had a report earlier of an injury from lightning. So as we look here, I did query this pocket, and it had over almost 1,100 lightning strikes in about 15 to 30 minutes. So again, extremely powerful storm that continues to, again, it's getting very close to Fond du Lac County. You can see the edge of the tornado warning, severe thunderstorm warning. Really great job with the National Weather Service. I mean, they put that warning out a long time ago. So there is a good heads up, and like Michael mentioned, you can't always rely on the outdoor sirens. Fortunately, most of us have cell phones now. You can get those warnings. You can add whatever counties you need. You can go ahead and add it right now on our CBS 58 weather app to just kind of, if you live downstream and you want to keep tabs on some of the counties north, you can get those warnings there. Like Justin said, when they have the severity level with the really large hail, those will go out as warnings as well. Looking at the debris, it's hard to say. We didn't see that bullseye like we saw before in Appleton, but certainly the rotation is there. Looking at very strong winds. We're kind of switching back over to our hail product here. So now, and again, it'll kind of leave us at the last frame. So here's Kenosha, Somers to Brighton. So we still have that storm in Racine and Kenosha County. If you guys want to go ahead and just pan that down just a little bit. All right, so that's leaving Union Grove now. And again, as we go ahead and kind of give you that broader look, and then we'll bring you up here. Again, this is the monster that we're really focusing on now. That'll get us into the northern counties. And of course, while we are sending a reporter up there, we will make sure that we continue to communicate and keep her at a safe distance, keep her out of the path here, but get close enough where we can kind of get a ground's eye report what it's looking like up in that direction. And I see we have a camera here. Where are we looking right now? Is this? Okay, so this is our crew heading north right now. So certainly the sky looks ominous, very humid, very hot, a lot of instability right overhead. You know, we had been talking about this chance for storms. We had the high pressure overhead right on the edge of these. You can get these ridge riders that can be very strong and dangerous. Some of those storms really were not panning out, and today it finally is. Today it finally is, and this is why. It's the same thing, you know, people, you know, you want the heads up. It's the same thing of why we would have signs that say watch out for ice, things like that. Half the year you're not going to see ice, but you need that heads up, and that's why we're here. Because when this starts to unfold, this is doing some pretty good damage likely at this point. That velocity, try to query maybe in the bright blue there. Again, moments ago I had it up over 100 miles an hour, so I doubt that's the core of the wind right there. And I think if we're looking at Appleton and then Nina was down here, it's probably down here. I'm thinking it's probably down closer to there. So perhaps we're seeing some weakening. I'll go ahead and take a look at the chat. Are you guys seeing anything else coming in? It does look like I am seeing in the Green Bay chat. I don't know if you're in Milwaukee or Green Bay. They are seeing some weakening trend here near Oshkosh.
Yeah, that's some good information there from the National Weather Service coming out of the Waukesha area. The rotation looks to be maybe a little bit weaker on some of the latest radar scans. Not as good as maybe what it looked about 10-15 minutes ago or so. So that is at least some good information coming in from the National Weather Service. But it really, according to the National Weather Service up in Green Bay, it looks like it should be on the weakening trend. So that is definitely some good information there. But nonetheless, I mean, that threat is still out there, and they give plenty of heads up. So if you live in Fond du Lac County, especially Fond du Lac proper, right now is the time to go ahead and make those precautions. If you don't know where your safe spot is, if you've never had to take caution or take cover from a tornado warning, you're going to want to be in the lowest level of your home. Usually that's a basement. If you don't have a basement, you want to head to the first level of your home. Currently, nobody in our area is under tornado warnings, but we are prepared for potentially that possibility here. And you can see some of those safety tips there on our screen. You want to bring those pets inside. Don't forget about those. Stay away from windows and doors as well. You don't want to try and drive away from the storm unless you live in like a mobile home area, and then you're going to want to get away from the storm, get to an area maybe like a gas station or somewhere else where you can find a little bit of shelter. But the bottom line is you want to be as low as you can, so the lowest level of your house or lowest level of your apartment building. Put as many walls between you and the storm as possible.
I think it's great that we're clearing out for so much of the area here. So, I mean, we've got a good downpour going through Milwaukee proper, and that's fine. That's okay.
If you can go back down, let's talk about that flash flood warning for a second, if you don't mind. Parts of western Racine County, western Kenosha County, rainfall rates 2 to 3 inches on very parched land. You had a lot of problems with runoff, so hence this is what we have until 3 o'clock now, Monday afternoon.
Yeah, and so you're going to get some really heavy rain there in Kenosha. In fact, you'll probably take a query there and just kind of see what we're looking at there for rain rates. But yeah, Kenosha proper is about to get a torrential downpour. I mean, our in-house model is probably overdoing that a little bit, but it certainly sends the message. Torrential rain coming right into the city of Kenosha. So, and they're still under that severe thunderstorm watch, I believe. So many layers on here. It does look like, okay, till 1:15. So that's 45 minutes. These are all been moving really about 35 to 40 miles per hour, so that'll be there for probably 20 minutes or so.
Obviously, we should, tell viewers to not drive on water-covered roads, turn around, don't drown. If you can't see the lines on the roads, don't try to pass.
Yeah, now at least the rain part is coming right into Sheboygan proper. It's been a while since we put on the lightning. Again, we had one injury already from lightning today. And that is a powerful storm. Hopefully the rotation's coming down. The lightning sure looks like it's holding tight there.
And this, in just a second ago, Rebecca, Fox Valley storm update, watching the western portion of the storm for a cycling of the storm in rotation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's what we see. So, the standard Wisconsin tornado tends to only be on the ground for, you know, less than 10 miles, sticks around for 10 minutes, but these things they can lower, then kind of fade out, then kind of regroup and redevelop, or they can lift and continue to drop down. So we really can't foresee the future, you know, with 100% accuracy, other than just continuing to watch each scan like we're doing with you, and that's why we stay on the air. Of course, we know what happened down at Lake Geneva not that long ago, and that was just straight line winds, and not just straight line winds, but those straight line winds were still to the strength of an EF1 tornado of 100 miles per hour. So again, if we just kind of zoom out, I think, actually, you know, let's actually, we've been talking about that. Let's just go back to Kenosha County momentarily. We haven't looked at anything there. So nothing too concerning, other than they're probably seeing some wind gusts here, just knowing the shading, the intensity of the colors. They're probably seeing some wind gusts to maybe 40 to 50 miles per hour. So they're seeing that. Just, yeah, querying some of those. There's something going on maybe there, but again, our system is not overly impressed with anything super strong. And again, then the biggest concern is coming up here, and you can certainly see those more, the brighter colors here. Again, you've got the velocity product, which again measures winds going toward or away the radar site. So then we know if there's rotation going on. So you've got that key there to take a look at, and that tightening up. Again, and you would expect rotation to start to probably fall apart a little bit as it goes over the water. It's just kind of scooting right there along Lake Winnebago. Whether it kind of gets a shove to the west, like Michael said, and now they're watching it, will it regroup? We'll have to continue to just watch these scans and see what happens there. Certainly, all the features still there to keep these storms going. Have we had any word on if they're thinking about issuing any type of watch? I know they were at one point mentioning that.
Yeah, they have not added any new information about potentially any other watches or anything like that. National Weather Service is watching for a potential little bit more rotation there on the western side of that storm up to the north of Fond du Lac. So that's something that we'll continue to watch. We do still have the severe thunderstorm warning there for Kenosha County that you can see on the map. That still goes into 115, potentially even for hail up to 2.5 inches. So there is still a decent hail signature there, and obviously that's the area that is still under a flash flood warning as well, with all the heavy rain associated. And then to the north there, that's where you see the Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County counties are currently under the potential there for some severe thunderstorm warnings. We're still probably about 30 minutes away from any of this tornado warned storm to potentially reach any of us here locally, so I'm guessing the National Weather Service is going to give it a little bit more time. Looking at some of the latest radar trends that I'm looking at in terms of velocity products or even the radar product, it really looks like things have kind of trended downward here over the last 30 minutes, last hour or so. So that is at least some good news. If you do live in Fond du Lac area, obviously best to be prepared. So right now is the time to be prepared for those areas across southeast Wisconsin. And then we got this hail threat as well.
And they just put out, they're upping the warning levels to tennis ball size hail for Kenosha County. So that is, that's a quick spike there, and that's also not good news. Again, just kind of refocusing on the immediate threats that we have. We're going to continue to watch that tornado warned storm. But now as we, again, just kind of back it up. Okay, so that's going to be heading right through South Kenosha, Pleasant Prairie, and upping that threat to potentially tennis ball size hail. Again, our products here are not always completely perfect with that 1.5. Certainly could be just a little bit bigger, and we've already had the history of baseball size hail around Oconomowoc. So that's something that's still going to be living here through Kenosha County, as well as you mentioned that warning that will continue there. So a lot going on currently with our watches and warnings. I'm going to go ahead and just take those off. And so this is what we have. Again, if you just happen to be turning on the TV now, we've had a very busy morning. We've had a number of tornado warnings here in our area. Nothing that really came out of that. That one near Oshkosh is confirmed. A lot of good heads up time, issuing downstream warnings for Fond du Lac and Sheboygan, so they're going to have that till 1:30. And just because of the severity of that storm, we're staying on air here with you, as that's getting very close to the Fond du Lac County border.
Bex, and that severe storm watch, if I'm not mistaken, toward the Fox River Valley, they've canceled that. It was to go to till 7 o'clock. They dropped that.
Okay. Well, looks like we have now, that should be a severe thunderstorm watch. So some of our counties here locally. Let me go ahead and just erase all this.
Yeah,
all right.
Real quickly, Rebecca, National Weather Service up in Green Bay for that tornado warning currently. The latest tornado warning is no longer confirmed. It is a radar indicated tornado. So that either means that enough time has elapsed since the last time it was confirmed until a spotter saw it, or we saw any radar proof of that, but that is now a radar indicated tornado, so no longer confirmed on the ground, which is definitely some good news. But nonetheless, that tornado warning up there still goes until 1 o'clock for areas just to the north there of Fond du Lac, and that's why we are remaining on the air. The latest damage reports from Outagamie County. This is in the Grand Chute area, in the Appleton area. 6 to 10 tree branches down just in one little area, seeing some arcing and sparking power. In fact, on Spencer Avenue in South Grand Chute, that's an area that we're seeing really some bad reports. Definitely some destructive tornado was previously out there. Currently, that tornado is no longer confirmed as of this latest reports that we're getting here from the National Weather Service, but obviously something we're continuing to watch as it continues to push its way off towards the south and potentially into Fond du Lac County shortly.
Yeah, I'm still querying that in that blue bullseye, and that's what they're watching is damaging winds pushing into western Fond du Lac. So that's, our in-house is saying almost 70 miles an hour. Again, so that'll do some damage, but that's great to hear. So that's really just your straight line winds I'm looking at. And like you said, if they're seeing that coming down rotation wise, that's good now as well. Yeah, a little more just definitive. It almost looks like that's turning into more straight line. So, but again, that's getting real close to Fond du Lac County here at the edge. So.
Yeah, you think at this point that they would start to potentially think about issuing a tornado warning there for that area, if that's indeed what they are going to do, but they could end up just going with the severe thunderstorm warning for some pretty strong winds, and sometimes they add what's called a tornado possible tag onto those warnings. So that is also a potential that the National Weather Service could do, but we should get some more clarity on that, I would say, within the last 15-20 minutes. The DOT camera that you're looking at there on the screen, that is up in Winnebago County. So still dealing with some really heavy rain going through that area, some strong winds going through that area as well. And we're certainly seeing those pushing 70 miles per hour in some spots there as it moves just north of the Fond du Lac area. And as this continues to push its way southward, Fond du Lac's definitely going to get hit by this storm, that's for sure. Whether or not it's a tornado warned storm by the time it rolls in or 70 mile per hour winds, that's still to be determined. But we do have the severe thunderstorm warning that has already been issued well in advance. In fact, that warning for Fond du Lac and Sheboygan counties goes until 1:30. So we still have almost a full hour here left on the warning there for our northern counties for the potential for at least some very, very strong winds, if not the potential there for even an isolated tornado.
I'm just really just putting the arrow toward 41 because that's where that DOT camera is. So, and again, you see that pink shading. So that's anywhere in this area, you're getting some strong winds here. So that's the area that's probably easily seen 60-mile-an-hour winds. Again, like you said, the rotation aspect is not as impressive there. So that's really good to see that. But what I did want to do quickly, because I don't know that we covered this, is the fact that I believe they issued a severe thunderstorm watch for parts of our area. So again, because these are all kind of stacked together, I just want to see who's all in that, unless you guys know offhand, who's all in that severe thunderstorm watch. Certainly I can see Ozaki and Washington, but if I remove the heat alert there. All right, so, okay, so that looks like it's Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, Ozaki, Washington counties. And that, again, they extend these out. They may cut them down early. Right now it's until 7 p.m.
Yeah, and that severe thunderstorm warning is likely just for really this storm that we're seeing right now push through just right around the Winnebago County area, and that potential there right around Lake Winnebago. As that moves south, that storm is going to pack a punch with it, even if it is not tornado warned by the time it arrives in our area, and that's why that severe thunderstorm watch has likely been issued. And once again, we still have that potential there for a severe thunderstorm warning that is still currently in effect until 1:30 for almost all of Fond du Lac County and then currently all of Sheboygan County.
We also have warnings out over the water too. So just something to note, Milwaukee South, all that orange there that you're seeing, those are marine warnings. You may have alarms going off for that. Not a great day to be on the water. I know it's hot and humid and that's the place to go. Not right now though. Not a good idea there. And then just kind of, again, so much going on, but with that potential for tennis ball size hail and the torrential rain, you can see they just popped the warning now into the Zion area. So that's going down into Illinois here shortly, but you're seeing all that heavy rain and potentially still some hail, Pleasant Prairie to the state line.
And 2 to 3 inches of rain, and it's just a short time span, just gives you an indication how much moisture there is in the atmosphere today. The dew point numbers are very high, into the 70s. It's a steam bath out there, and these storms work on that.
Yeah. Hail is falling apart there, so that's good news. So I think we can probably go back up to our reporter Jenna Wells, who continues to travel to near Fond du Lac County. Jenna, what are you seeing? Are you feeling winds picking up? And can you tell us exactly where you guys are?
So right now we are heading north on 41. We basically are just south of Menominee Falls right now, still heading towards Fond du Lac. We've kind of had off and on rain. I wouldn't say necessarily winds picking up, but there was a moment, maybe about 10 minutes ago or so, where rain started falling down again. It was relatively loud 10-15 minutes ago, but that only lasted a couple of minutes, and then it stopped, and then we just had little drizzles and they stopped. So far very, very clear as we went through Wauwatosa and then now coming near Menominee Falls. It's been pretty clear, nothing notably picking up quite yet, but of course, as you guys have mentioned, we're hearing reports already of potentially some damage that will be up in the Fond du Lac, Neenah areas in Winnebago County. So we are making our way that way to see if there's any changes as we come along.
Okay, appreciate that, Jenna. I mean, certainly you can see the ominous clouds. When we look at the radar, there's nothing falling where she is really at the moment that's concerning. And so again, we're just kind of waiting to see. Is this just a little sliver of a tornado warning?
Yeah, so the National Weather Service office in Green Bay is canceling their tornado warning. So those will expire here at 12:45 officially. So that little sliver, that's going to go away here at 12:45 here in the next 2 minutes. But the tornado warning will expire at 12:45 for Calumet as well as Winnebago counties, according to the National Weather Service office up in Green Bay. And then locally, if you remember previously, western parts of Fond du Lac County were not included in that previous warning. So they've just filled out the rest of the county here locally. So that is now currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. So all of Fond du Lac, all of Sheboygan County currently under a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for that storm that we were seeing up in Winnebago and Calumet County earlier. And this is for hail potentially 2.5 inches in diameter. So we've seen some really overproducing hailstorms here so far today, and that continues to potentially be the case here as we go throughout the rest of the afternoon. If this storm kind of holds together, it could potentially move its way through most of southeast Wisconsin from north to south, kind of start up there in Fond du Lac County, and even earlier it was up in the Appleton area and then continue to push its way towards the south and towards the southeast. It is a tornado possible is something that they have issued, and they just issued a tornado warning here for Fond du Lac County. So let's go back to that warning map there, and we can give you the latest information there on the tornado warning that now has been issued here for Fond du Lac County. Here is the latest information there. So you can see this is for the eastern part of Fond du Lac County that is currently under a tornado warning. We'll give you some of the information there. This is currently including Fond du Lac, Forest, Campbellsport, Calumet, all those areas. Goes until 1:30 p.m. here later on this afternoon.
I think what's impressive too is we had a confirmed tornado, so it went over the lake. We know that tornadoes tend to fall apart as they go over water. We're watching some redevelopment. It looked like it was kind of scooting across the western edge of Lake Winnebago, waiting to see if it redeveloped. And as far as the National Weather Service is concerned, they're certainly concerned that is going to continue to now kind of strengthen again. So the great news is, and here's the city of Fond du Lac here, we had some really good heads up time here for Fond du Lac County. We had those warnings out well in advance, and so we're going to kind of watch this. And another good thing, you've got Fond du Lac and Sheboygan County, which overlap with the National Weather Service office in Green Bay too. So you've got two weather service offices working very diligently, which is, you know, kind of unusual and unique and really great to have more heads here coming together to kind of keep a watch on this.
Just want to give you a look at the Velocity product. So a little bit of maybe tightening rotation there. Up in the up towards St. Calumet area there, north of Tachita, northeast of North Fond du Lac as well. Maybe some tightening rotation being observed in that area. According to the National Weather Service, this is a radar indicator tornado. So earlier today we did have a confirmed tornado up in the Appleton area. This is now a radar indicated tornado, so it's not confirmed right now according to the National Weather Service, but they are obviously watching that area just to the northeast of Fond du Lac. This is moving south at about 30 miles per hour, so we'll take it kind of right from this couplet here, and we'll continue to take that down towards the south. Gonna have to zoom out so we can get a better track on this storm right now, but we'll take it right from that area, move it to the south at about 30 miles per hour or so. So it would be into the Empire area there, 106, Eden 114, Kewaskum there, about 139 if it continued its strength going into parts of Washington County, but currently that warning is in effect for until 1:30, so about 45 minutes left here of this warning, and National Weather Service confirmed kind of that area that we are seeing. That is the area that they are concerned about and why they have issued this tornado warning there for kind of the Calumet area right along that county line. This would be northeastern parts of Fond du Lac County.
And I think the thing too, when our reporter gets up there, we're starting to get a lot of trees down reports. So Winnebago County, so that's near the Neenah area. Again, Appleton, Neenah, Menasha, Oshkosh all kind of smushed there together. Seen some tree reports from Appleton down to that area. So we're hoping that obviously this falls apart. But what Jenna might start running into is starting to see some damage here, and still clearing some pretty decent winds there. So that's certainly strong enough to be a little suspicious that there's maybe another uptick here. And again, the fact that it went over the water and now is continuing downstream, I think that means we may be dealing with this for a bit, because now it's heading out just land, and we'll have to kind of wait and see over these next few scans if we continue to see strengthening there. The original paths were more south-southeast, around 30 to 40 miles an hour. Then it took a little southwest jog, I think, once it hit the water, but now Highland Park. So are we into, could you zoom out just a little bit, Justin?
Sure
I'm
thing.
trying to get a lay of the land. So are we in,
Yeah, so this
is this Fond du Lac County
Yep.
here? Okay, all right, so there's the edge. So we are now seeing that went into our official viewing area.
Yeah, so this is actually the radar from the Green Bay office. The National Weather Service said it was sampling kind of that rotation a little bit better here across Fond du Lac County there, and you can kind of see some of those greens, those reds, when those get closer and closer together. That's where you potentially get those tornado warnings as they are potentially issued. And obviously we're seeing pretty strong velocity numbers, 70 miles per hour in terms of some velocity gusts being reported there across parts of northeastern Fond du Lac County. So that's going to be an area that we're definitely going to be watching. That's why we do have the tornado warning that has now been issued here for parts of Fond du Lac County, and that currently goes until 1:30 in those areas as well across southeast Wisconsin. The chief is here, the boss is here. Drew Burgoyne has joined the fray.
Justin has been talking for approximately 12 hours.
It's time to
Let's
give this
him a
man
round
a
of
rest,
applause.
right? Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Yeah, the whole team here. We will continue to kind of switch gears here. I'm
Right.
sure it was an early start for Justin, and great job here with you and Michael covering everything. We appreciate that. So, Drew, welcome to the day.
Yeah, the storms this morning, I mean, obviously a little bit more delayed than what the models were expecting, but still a pretty volatile atmosphere. And anytime you've got a storm like this that had confirmed tornado damage earlier, or most likely tornado damage, it's still moving into a very favorable environment, as you guys have done such a great job talking about. We're still seeing quite a couplet here between the Johnsburg area and Highland Park, and so anytime we see that, at any point that could continue to wrap up. And what the Weather Service was talking about, and what we see a lot out of these storm systems, is you'll get recycling going on. So you'll have that tornado go for a while, and then it looks like things weaken, and then very quickly it comes back up. And that's why we stay on throughout an entire tornado warning. This goes out until 1:30 because you'll see those changes. You may 5 minutes from now that thing could wrap up pretty good, but if you're watching from Forest, if you're watching from Calvary into the Calumet area, Fond du Lac itself, Friendship, you need to be in your safe spot. Get to the basement. Make sure you're putting as many walls between you and the storm as possible. Interesting time of the day, of course. We may have some kiddos that are home alone as well. All you got to do is just turn up the TV, go to that basement. If you don't have a basement, a bathroom or a closet is a wonderful place. You will be safe in that place. You just want to stay away from windows. If you don't, you got to run to the basement. We'll also stream this as well, not only on our weather app, but Facebook Live as well. So Rebecca's showing that velocity and that shear there continues to hold, pretty good. So Rebecca, if you want to do a storm track on that, just to give folks that may be coming back into programming saying, man, I'm hearing the tornado sirens right now. What's going on? We've had some severe weather earlier, and now we've got more severe weather. And this was one of those cells that we watched earlier that just continued to move south into a very favorable environment. So it's not over yet. Taycheedah at 12:55, Campbellsport 118, Kewaskum at 126, West Bend at 137. The Jackson area at 147. Now, we are definitely getting ahead of ourselves when it comes to that tornado warned part of that storm. However, if that storm continues to move south in that area, it may continue. It may not. Hopefully it will wrap up and we won't see that. We've got spotters and different folks that are all around. What's nice about this in the afternoon is we're not dealing with dark, so folks can continue to watch it as it moves through, as that continues to move south. Now, Justin had mentioned earlier we were jumping back and forth between radars. Fond du Lac County, you're kind of split in between the National Weather Service radar in Milwaukee and the National Weather Service radar in Green Bay as well. Those are some of the big hail reports from earlier on. Rebecca?
I think, again, I don't know that I've ever tracked a tornado that went over water. So it was on the northern edge of Lake Winnebago, took a little jog, then cut back across Lake Winnebago, taking aim at the city of Fond du Lac, and now here we are seeing that strengthen. So I think that just tells you that this is overpowering some of the mechanics that usually would have something fall apart. There's another scan, looks like that brightest white kind of fell apart there. But they are looking at that potential for this rotation here to continue to, again, sometimes it strengthens, it may fade out for a scan or two, may go back up. Also, Drew, we've had incredible hail today. Reports of 3-inch diameter hail up in Shawano. Again, that's northwest of Green Bay, but then we had baseball size here. We've had really large hail within the tornado warned storm. So that's still another concern. Looking at a lot of that hail, and also we had an injury from lightning. So there's just so many things going on, and we're still seeing an incredible amount of lightning here with that too.
I did see they've extended now the severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 7. Thank you, Michael, for pointing that out. So bottom line is, yeah, you look at that, all of that lightning in there as that storm continues to move south. And obviously you look at that western edge, that southwestern side of that, it's typically where you'll get those notches and areas of concern. But to your point, both you and Justin, absolutely, you get where that strong updraft is, and you see that deep reflectivity here, that's where your hail core will be. So yeah, you're getting ping pong ball size, even larger hail. You're talking about some very, very strong updrafts that could be approaching about 100 miles an hour. Okay, so those are the types of storms. This guy's pushing about 50,000 feet. We don't typically see supercells around here that get to that height. A lot of times it'll be 40 to 45, but this even exceeding that. So remember, you start going up a little bit, and this is all frozen within the column. So if you have a very strong updraft, you're going to get some very, very large hail. And we've seen that especially on the western periphery of these storms. There's enough instability where that storm continues to ingest it. Now, as that storm moves south, obviously we've had some very heavy rainfall. A lot of prayers have been answered for a lot of people when it came to that rainfall. But my point is, there's been some recovery here, and unless we start to see some other storms develop on the southern side of that storm, it will likely move back into an area that could see some pockets of instability, and that storm could roll on. So if you're watching from Milwaukee, if you're watching from Waukesha County, Racine, Kenosha, you guys are just hammered with those storms. It's not over yet. And that's why the National Weather Service has now issued that severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 7 o'clock. And that's going to cover that storm there. We're looking out of Fond du Lac County, not seeing any problems there, at least on that shot. But that storm is just really entering into the county. So there's the severe thunderstorm watch. And just getting people caught up on the tornado warning itself. Rebecca, if you want to query that. And show folks that goes out until 1:30 this afternoon. So obviously we've had extended coverage here during your noon show, and we will be expecting additional tornado warning coverage here. So you see all the counties in pink here, that severe thunderstorm watch. And the bottom line is it's basically taking this, the concern, and to bring that south. So even though, as we've had some clouds, we've had some rain earlier, pockets of instability will continue to keep these storms rolling, and any western part of that storm could rotate, which is exactly what what we've been seeing. So definitely a danger out there right now. Rebecca?
And it does look like coming from the Milwaukee National Weather Service, they're going to up the western Fond du Lac County severe to 80-mile-per-hour winds. As Justin mentioned, that'll trigger the warnings to go out. You might get that alarm on your cell phone if you've got it configured that way.
Something we're also seeing is that western parts of Fond du Lac County, Dodge County, they did not really get in on that first round of storms that we were seeing rolling through this earlier in the morning hours. So that atmosphere has not really worked over yet. I was just looking at the mesoanalysis page, and we're pushing 6,000 in terms of CAPE there on the western fringe of our area. So that is, CAPE means convective available potential energy. That is the energy and the fuel that thunderstorms use. So if this storm can tap into some of that energy, that's where we could potentially see some explosive growth here, especially western Fond du Lac County. And the National Weather Service is also, you can kind of see it there on the velocity image, there's a bit of a boundary that has developed from some of the morning rain there off in western Fond du Lac County. You can see a little bit closer there in Dodge County as well. So as this storm pushes in from the south, as it interacts with one of those boundaries, that's where you can get some really good spin ups. And then if it can tap into some of this really high levels of energy, that's where you could potentially see some explosive growth. And I think the National Weather Service is very concerned about that, especially for the western part there of Fond du Lac County, which is not the part of the county right now that's actually underneath the warning, but something to be concerned about here over the next 15, 20, 30 minutes or so.
That's a great point. Yeah, that is a great point. And as that storm comes closer, obviously, to the Milwaukee radar, we'll get a better sense, especially right now as that storm, at least the radar is scanning the mid-levels of the storms, but we still have plenty of velocity here, again, as we go in between the two radars. As we take a look. So again, we've got a tornado warning that continues until 1:30 for Fond du Lac County. We're going to probably have different folks jumping in and out of coverage. That is not a tornado warning throughout Racine to Kenosha, even though that's a deep red. Flash flood warnings there. But there's the warning itself, and my guess is they probably will extend this. So if you are watching from Washington County, maybe Ozaukee County, Dodge County, just be ready. There probably will be some additional tornado warnings that get issued to the south. And that could be out of abundance of caution too, just exactly what Justin was talking about. These areas saw a little bit of a rain. I know Mark Fox got just a little bit in Mayville, did see a pretty decent report over an inch in the Horicon area, but that Cape continues to regenerate with some sunshine out there. Even with some filtered sunshine, it doesn't take much. Of course, you walked outside today and it's like you walk into that wall of water. Those dew points are super high, so the atmosphere is charged, and there's a reason why the Storm Prediction Center had this entire area with that elevated risk. As you can see, the storms coming through. Ton of lightning with these storms as they move south. You can see these clusters of lightning, and if you want to take a look over on the hail product as well, Rebecca, and just show that area. But in and around that area, number of strikes, look at that, over 500 lightning strikes within that cell itself. But you can definitely see we've got some hail to the south of Oshkosh that is moving throughout probably northern parts of Fond du Lac County. Sometimes that gets delayed. Rebecca?
And speaking of delays, so we're going to start getting these storm reports in. There is an impressive picture of hail coming out of the Ashippun area, and I don't know about you, Justin, that looks to be almost baseball-size hail.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be baseball-size hail there. So we've seen some higher returns for hail earlier today, Drew, with this. I mean, certainly this is still concerning, but even here locally, we've had some really big hail today. I mentioned to my mom sending me pictures out of Shawano County, 3-inch hail there. So, I mean, and then also the fact that they're focusing on western Fond du Lac County, the storm almost kind of split, like it was going southeast. Now you can kind of see what appears to be, let's go ahead and pop that back on, that push of wind moving into western portions of northern Fond du Lac County, and now downstream warnings are coming for Dodge, Washington, Ozaukee. They are talking about the potential for 80-mile-an-hour winds. And again, just quickly here to show you what I was talking about. It was right here. That kind of started to like split a little bit. So you've got that area, you've got this area. We'll see if that one closer to Ripon continues to strengthen. But and just so Drew knows, since he's standing at the wall, because we do keep ping-ponging, that is the Milwaukee radar. And there's the Green Bay radar. So like you mentioned, we're kind of in between things, which is great. We've got two offices here overlapping our two northern counties that we're really getting a good look at everything. Well,
and two areas of concern that you highlighted very well. We've got this damaging wind threat here pushing throughout Fond du Lac, and yes, you're going to be, if you're watching from Washington County into Fond du Lac County, those areas, that's going to be triggering. Now that might, be on the high side there, especially when it comes to switching radars. However, the point is that damaging winds, 70 to 80 miles an hour, pockets of it. We're not talking about just widespread, that's exactly what you're going to see. But you notice the colors here from Taycheedah right around the Empire area, downburst type of straight line winds in that zone, and then the western part, which seems to be free of other precipitation. That's an area that we're going to have to watch. As I said earlier, the storm could just be recycling somewhat. It might start getting its act together, and if that happens, these storms can quickly produce tornadoes. So right now, we're not seeing that organization maybe for real clear tornadic activity, but damaging winds. Listen, you get 80-mile-an-hour damaging winds. That's the same type of damage as a weak tornado. It's still going to be problematic. You want to be in your basement for that. You want to be away from windows. You do not want to be messing with that as that storm, continues to move south. And that damaging wind area. And if you want to do maybe a storm track or kind of a squall, however you want to do it, Rebecca, from that area of damaging winds south, just to let people know. That gives people maybe a little heads up as that storm moves south. This is really the only storm in the game right now. Those storms earlier have cleared, and so now that the atmosphere is starting to recharge a little bit, that's the concern as that storm moves south. So Lamira at 110, Waupun at 122, West Bend at 131, Richfield at 146, Menominee Falls. Again, if that holds together at 157. As the damaging winds move south. As you can see, we're toggling between different cameras as well there. We've also got some reporters that are out and about providing some information. So we've got severe thunderstorm warnings here from Sheboygan County, Ozaukee, into Washington and Dodge counties in advance of that particular damaging wind swath, and then we still have that tornado warning that goes until 1:30, which is still in play. Justin.
Yeah, and these newly issued severe thunderstorm warnings, these are issued for 80-mile-per-hour winds. So as Rebecca said, that is going to trigger a WEA alert. That's a wireless emergency alert, and that is what Jenna Wells, she is currently up in the Slinger area. She just got that alert on her phone. Our reporter who is up there traveling up towards this area that is going to be tornado warned here. And right now, 80-mile-per-hour winds can do just as much damage as a weak tornado. So you want to take those precautions. Don't go outside. Don't go look for the storm. Stay away from windows. Stay away from the doors and all those other sorts of things. And we're also getting indications from the National Weather Service that they are going to go ahead and issue a new tornado warning here for western Fond du Lac County. We've been kind of talking about that area here for the last little bit, how that kind of has the potential for some explosive growth. Western Fond du Lac County didn't really see any of the storms from the morning. There was still some sunshine earlier there, so the atmosphere is primed for the potential for some really good growth in that area in western Fond du Lac County, and they are going to issue a tornado warning in that area as well.
You know, just having my family up in Green Bay, I'm getting littered with messages, and there is a legitimate tornado picture, and you can see like the debris out of the Appleton area that my brother sent. So I'm going to try to get that over to news so we can pop that on the screen too. Again, because that's what's heading our way. That is part of the storm, like Justin said, that is now going to lead to expanding that tornado warning for western parts of Fond du Lac County. Really impressive stuff here today.
We're back on Fond du Lac County for our camera there. Let's go back over to just general reflectivity. We've been showing, you know, all of that, all the lightning as well. So that western edge there, if you want to zoom in a little bit closer, we've got a bit of a notch between Ripon, just to the north of the Brandon area. You can see right here. So if this continues to materialize, we may get that wrapped up a little bit more. But if you're watching from West Rosendale, the Rosendale area, definitely need to be in that basement or your safe spot there, because that storm looks like it's trying to, at least the complex is trying to wrap up a little bit. And then you've got all these damaging winds on the eastern side here pushing through. So here's the latest. I'll let you query that for our new tornado warning. You're probably going to be hearing some sirens out there. So that's been extended just 15 minutes to 1:45. The original tornado warning out until 1:30, but now that's extended further to the south throughout northern portions of Dodge County and a good chunk of Fond du Lac County there. So you know, unfortunately, that's what's happening there.
Drew, let's get you an update on power outages. This is from We Energies. 71,421 customers. It peaked around 71, went down to 68,000. Now it's back up to 71. Just a considerable amount. Most of the outages really concentrated in that Appleton area, the Neenah area that you've been talking about, and then another surge down in the Kenosha area as well.
Yeah, but we still have those 18,000 outages in Milwaukee right now. And then, as Bill said, that they are scattered throughout all across our viewing area. But it's the quickness with which these outages have happened. I mean, just in the last 2 hours, I mean, this storm has come in hard and fast, and the outages have the numbers have rapidly been going up. And take a look at your screen. We've been showing these pictures sent in to us by viewers. You know, look at that hail. You know, that's not quite softball size, but we are reporting softball size hail in some of these areas hit by this storm. But you know, that's a quarter, I believe, and you know, that piece of hail is several times the size of that quarter. So, you know, as we've been saying to people, as Rebecca said, this storm has taken some kind of crazy turns. We don't know which way it's going to go necessarily yet. So you want to get your cars inside if you have the ability to, whether it's at work or at home. Get it in a garage or a covered parking garage, and just make sure you're staying out of the way of this, not only due to the hail, but the flash flooding that Jenna saw as she was driving on the roads earlier, and you know, just the severity of this storm.
And send us your pictures. As long as it's safe, obviously, do not put you or anyone in your family at risk, but as long as it's safe, we'd love to see your hail pictures, and hopefully there's no damage pictures out there. I know that is not realistic right now, but we would love to see your photos of what you're going through right now.
Well, let's do another storm track, a new storm track, if you will, especially from El Dorado, right around the Brandon area. We want to take that pretty much due south. So this storm, as of right now, is generally moving south. It could shift and move more southeast. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch throughout the area until 7 o'clock to encompass this line of showers and thunderstorms. So Waupun at 129, Mayville at 144, Juneau at 152, Rubicon at 201, the Emmett community at 207 as the storm moves through. So that's where that tornadic part of that storm is. Of course, we do have damaging winds that are surging out ahead of it, pushing through Lomira right now. If you want to maybe do another storm track from that area. So two areas of concern. That for the tornado, and then you can see this bulge here within the complex as those winds are starting to surge out. And that's why we have severe thunderstorm warnings for portions of, well, really all of Washington County and Ozaukee County, as well as the storms are moving south. So damaging winds, Mayville at 121, the West Bend area at 130, Hartford at 138, Menominee Falls at 157, Brookfield, if it holds together, at 209. So we will be watching these storms move south, moving back into the metro, into Milwaukee after 2 o'clock. But yeah, two zones that we're concerned about. And Justin had mentioned earlier, especially out to the west, these areas have not seen a whole lot when it comes to thunderstorms, so the energy has not been chewed up a whole lot. Plenty of instability that will continue to move through. Justin?
Yeah, Drew, I just wanted to mention that as part of this new tornado warning there in western Fond du Lac County, storm spotters did report a funnel cloud. Now, a funnel cloud is different than a tornado. A tornado would be touching the ground. A funnel cloud would just be up in the sky, kind of maybe lowering a little bit, but maybe not making contact with the ground. So while the tornado warning currently is just for radar indicated rotation, there are some signs that there's definitely rotation there in the atmosphere with some funnel clouds being reported for some of those areas, for some of those storm spotters as well that have kind of reported some of those potential funnel clouds there in western Fond du Lac County. But right now, this is just a radar indicated tornado. Is not confirmed by neither radar nor storm spotters at this point.
Yeah, you start getting those funnel clouds, and I mean it's good. I'm glad we've got spotters there watching it because it does look like we've seen a little bit of an uptick in in that couplet there, especially on the reds here on the eastern side. And if we start to see some deeper greens, especially right next to each other, we call it gate to gate, then that storm could be really starting to spin up. And so not a surprise, and I'm obviously glad the National Weather Service has issued that tornado warning there, because if you are watching from that part of Fond du Lac County, that's the area that a quick developing tornado could be. Rebecca and Justin were talking about this earlier before I got in. Damage throughout the Fox Valley area. Rebecca has family in and around there, which obviously she's concerned about, and getting reports there. And so this storm, like we're saying a lot, it's had the history of damage. And I know it may not be in your area right now, and I get it, but the storm is moving south, and at some point, since we've cleared out of those storms earlier, there will be more storms that will be pushing back, into your area. So we're definitely being respectful of that. This is western Fond du Lac County when it comes to our cameras there, our road cameras. So obviously seeing some rain there, some dark clouds, but nothing nothing specific there. And I know we've been bouncing back and forth between the radars. We explained this earlier if you just joined in. Fond du Lac County is right between pretty much the Green Bay radar and the Milwaukee radar. So you're kind of on on that edge. So as it continues to move further south, then we'll stay on the Milwaukee radar, the Sullivan radar for that matter, to continue to to watch it. But that storm still is fairly wrapped up as it's moving toward the Springville area. West Rosendale, we've mentioned that a lot. Ripon as that storm comes through. So you start to notice these colors brighten up, on the radar. It's just an indication as a meteorologist to say, yeah, the storm looks like it's tightening up and could produce a tornado at any moment. We've got storm spotters that are around. The National Weather Service has their storm spotters, so I think we're in a good spot that if a tornado develops and is on the ground, we're going to be able to get that information, quickly, which is good. We're not at night, which makes it pretty tricky there. So let's go back over the warnings again. We just want to reset. Make sure anyone who's joining CBS 58, has the latest there. So we've got the tornado warning for Fond du Lac County. The northern part of that county goes for another 15 minutes, and now you've got Dodge and southern Fond du Lac County until 1:45. So the areas moving to the south here, northern portions of Dodge County. And at any point, if the storm shifts a little bit, they could extend that warning into Washington County as well. Obviously, we're keeping our eyes on Ozaukee County. You still have a severe thunderstorm warning. Sheboygan County, you also have that severe thunderstorm warning. And we do have a severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 7 o'clock tonight for that particular complex of thunderstorms. But that severe thunderstorm warning goes until 2:30. So that definitely is, extended there. Not exactly sure where our folks are. I'm not sure if my producer knows exactly. It's tough to see. I missed the road sign there, but here you got the severe thunderstorm watch. Okay, so Jenna Wells is moving toward the Fond du Lac area, and here's that notch that we're watching here, just to the north and east of Brandon, over Springvale, near Ladoga. That's still wrapped up pretty well. We still have a lot of higher reflectivities on the backside. So what will happen is on the backside of that storm, you'll get a big downdraft of air, and that's important for tornadoes if they are going to develop. They're ingesting all of that moisture, all that instability, and there is nothing on the southern side of that storm. So it is, kind of rich when it's coming into just ingesting moisture and heating as well. Justin had mentioned that those spots had not really seen the storms from earlier on today, and that's a factor as these storms move south. Now, if we saw some additional storms of the south and all of this developing, that would be great, because that would be an indication that maybe that storm's going to run into a more unfavorable environment, but that's not the case, Justin, is it?
No, it's not the case currently. In fact, right now, so we basically have two tornado warnings. We have one in the eastern part of the county, and that is currently now moving its way towards the south. That was the first one we had. That one currently expires at 1:30. Latest information from the National Weather Service is that they are not expected to issue another tornado warning for that part of the county, and that would be probably into parts of Washington County as well. They want to see it maybe move a little bit more eastward, where we would have some spin-up concern. Now, the other tornado warning is in the western part of the county. That warning currently goes until 1:45. So we do have two separate warnings right now. That's the one that is also in effect for parts of northern Dodge County, and that one is still looking very impressive here on radar. You can see kind of that notch there just to the southwest of the El Dorado area. So that's the area that we're currently watching as well. That one looking a little bit more impressive as of right now in terms of a tornado warning and the velocity products that we're currently seeing. But the eastern part of the county, that would likely be able to expire here at 1:30. The western part of Fond du Lac County, that one's going to continue. Right now, that tornado warning goes until 1:45.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that. That's important. This is the area where Rebecca's circled here around Brandon. We've seen plenty of tornadoes in that area. So just heads up, again, if you're watching from Dodge County, and we do have storm spotters there. I know I've got storm spotter Jim Hoth, who's out of the Horicon area, and then we also have Mark Fox, which is one of our great spotters, also in Mayville. Mark used to work, I'm just going to brag on him a little bit. He used to work for the fire department in Milwaukee, so he is really interconnected with the different areas, the different fire departments across the area, especially in his area as well. So it's it's a value to have these guys that are watching. And Bill had mentioned earlier, if you're in a safe area and you get some reports or some pictures, please upload those to our weather app or send them in to news@cbs58.com if you can, only if it's a safe spot. So here's Jenna, and she's driving north toward Fond du Lac County, and you could see the ominous clouds there In fact, we'll send it to Jenna. I know she's sitting in the passenger side. And Jenna, what do you got there?
Well, you can see, I mean, just the incredibly ominous skies in front of me here. We're on 41 northbound heading towards Winnebago County. We did just pass Allenton is probably the closest town that we just passed through, and just coming up and over the hill, it was jarring to see that difference in the sky. We stopped at a gas station in Slinger to get some gas, a quick trip there, and it was a little bit, the sky was interesting, but it didn't seem as intense as just moments later now that we're looking at here. Completely dark black shelf of clouds. It almost looks like we are just driving into the ocean. It doesn't even look like the sky right now in front of me. Just saw some lightning flash as well. This is definitely the majority of what we have seen so far as storm activity on our drive all the way from the south side of Milwaukee all the way north here on 41. And you can definitely tell that we are getting into the thick of it here. With just how dark these clouds are, how pronounced they are, and how much of a shift it is from where we are now, just maybe 10 minutes north of Slinger. When we were in Slinger at the Quick Trip, that's when all of our phones went off. We got the alerts that there was a severe thunderstorm warning. That's what the alert was for, but it did warn about dangerous, destructive winds. Everybody inside the Quick Trip got that on their phone. The gas station was going off. Alarms were going off inside the gas station as well. And you can actually kind of see where it's funneling down there a little bit, that the clouds are so low in that one spot in particular. So moving our way towards Winnebago County, towards Fond du Lac, Neenah, Menasha. I have some friends who live up there who I've been in contact with. They are just blown away by this right now. Thankfully, they so far haven't had any issues themselves or any damage up there yet, but they're definitely prepared for it.
Jenna, if you can hear me, on a serious note, the way you're driving, you're going to be driving into the teeth of that storm, so please check in with the producer. The last thing I want, for you is to be driving through that. Your safety is the most important part. I know where you're going, but we got to get you there safely, so please, if it seems like things are coming down, and check in with the producer. We also have a couple of meteorologists behind the scenes too that can guide you there, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you, Drew. Yeah, the rain just started falling as well. We are now kind of encapsulated in the dark clouds now, so we will definitely find somewhere safe to go so that we're not caught up in this either.
All right, Jenna Wells on the road, heading up north, and yeah, obviously, it's tough as Rebecca and I are covering things. We don't have a direct line to a lot of these folks, and so just want to make sure that they're all right. And as Jenna had said, it's a totally different story when you start getting closer. So here's what we got. We've got a damaging wind threat, and then we have a tornado threat. And so what Rebecca has done, she did a nice storm track there. Notice this bulge that is coming out of the storm that's pushed throughout Lomira. And then we've got this pretty pronounced notch. And so what's happening here conceptually on the radar, you gotta bear with me here. As that storm moves south, the radar itself is showing rain that is getting wrapped around this internal engine, what we call a mesocyclone. And so when you see that notch, that's how the radar is interpreting it. Now the radar can only see so low to the ground, and that's why we have storm spotters that give us that ground truth to make sure that we can see it. So what the radar can do, obviously, it will show debris that is lofted. So here's that area. We've got strong winds that are moving through, and then notice the green and the red here. Okay, now are we looking at the Milwaukee radar? I just want to make sure.
Radar.
Okay, so we're on the Milwaukee radar. So what's happening here is green is moving toward, so the winds are moving toward that radar. Red is moving away, and so where you get that notch, and it's still a little disorganized, but the colors continue. It doesn't look like one color is dominating the other. I know that's very simplistic, but what I mean by that is if the red just starts to completely dominate, then it's a very outflow-driven type of storm, and and that would probably cut it off. But as that green continues to show up on the radar there and it's balanced, that would be the coupler. When these two start coming close together and really on top of each other, and tightening up, you'll see it shrink, shrink, shrink. As a radar operator, as a meteorologist, Justin, Rebecca, myself, or Michael, as we look at, it's definitely a concern. You can see, I think they are pulling over there, and very, very dark as that storm comes in. So they had pushed north of Allenton, and I don't exactly know where they are right now, but obviously they're going to hunker down as that storm moves through. If we want to do a separate storm track from where the tornado warn part of that storm is, I know it's a little confusing. Justin had said it nicely earlier that they're not going to downstream warn on the eastern part of that tornado warn part of the storm, just because it's going to be more damaging winds. But the storm is moving south, 35 to maybe 40 miles an hour. So Chester at 137, Mayville at 152, Juneau at 159, Rubicon at 211, Watertown at 223. We had that elevated risk for storms today. Number 3 out of 5 on the on the chart, and you're seeing why. All those ingredients were there together. So a lot of these northern Fond du Lac County, that storm has pushed south. That part of the warning goes until 1:30. This part of the warning to the south until 1:45. So northern portions of Dodge County until 1:45. Rebecca, if you want to zoom in closer into just the tornado warn box in Dodge County, I just want to name out some areas. Beaver Dam, you're within that area. Horicon, Mayville, Theresa, Burnett, and Waupun, which is right on the border. We also have another weather tracker, great weather tracker in Beaver Dam, Rhonda Westover, who is watching things closely, and she's right on the water there. So we've got folks in and around that can give us that information. Of course, around Horicon, it definitely gets flat with the marsh. And what's interesting about Horicon, you'll get the ingredients, especially the moisture. Dew points will go up even a lot more with the marsh itself. I know Jim Hoth, who's around Horicon, he always reports that from his weather station. It's almost like there's a bubble close to there, but it makes sense because you've got all that moisture from kind of that swamp type of area. So if you are in and around this part of the county, northern portions of Dodge County, you need to be in your basement. If you don't have that basement, put as many walls between you and the storm as possible. Get to that lowest level. We don't want to be upstairs. And listen, we don't want to be outside taking shots and this and that. I know folks are always looking for the greatest video, but obviously it makes it makes it look it's just dangerous. It's not something something we want to do when it comes to that. So Rebecca, Justin, I don't know if we're seeing any new reports from the National Weather Service. We're getting close to that first warning to expire, and I know we still have another 15 minutes on the last one.
Well, we do have some reports from the village of Kewaskum, shelf cloud coming in with high winds in the Kewaskum area. So we're seeing, again, some of those strong winds coming in to that area. Certainly here's your leading edge. So I would say, right, anywhere, Mayville, Theresa, Addison, even West Bend to maybe not so much Newburgh, but that whole sweep. They've got that, severe thunderstorm warning that you've seen the gold till 2:30 there. And again, the potential in those warning areas for 80-mile-an-hour winds. So that is still low-end tornado wind speed. So that's out of the Milwaukee office. We haven't hopped into Green Bay in a minute. Let's just go ahead and just see if they're saying anything there. I mean, unbelievable. Now out of Shawano, which again, west of Green Bay, 4.5-inch diameter hail, grapefruit size hail. That is extremely rare for this area.
Yeah,
so
largest hailstone ever recorded, was softball size. So
yeah, I was just gonna, in my head, I'm thinking that could potentially be the largest we've ever seen here. So I don't see anything else. I think at this point the Green Bay office is probably, we're going to start seeing more of the damage reports coming in. But certainly, again, we also had that injury with lightning. So there's still a ton of lightning here with this storm and just kind of querying that from Ripon down to Kewaskum, where again, Kewaskum now reporting some very strong winds coming in. I mean, we're getting close to 650 strikes of lightning there in just a very short period of time. And then I guess we should probably just kind of go over to the velocity. I want to go down to the Kewaskum area. Okay, so that, I mean, that matches. Those winds are coming in there. So
real quickly, I did get a report from our spotter, Jim Hoth, who's been watching things in Dodge County. He was reporting a wall cloud over the northern end of the marsh. So he's in a pretty decent spot there. So I'm going to continue to monitor things with him. But yeah, Rebecca, I mean, those are some strong winds showing up on radar.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So at times our system has been doing very well querying these. 55 miles an hour, it certainly could be a little stronger than that. Again, we're kind of in between these two radar sites. Just to double check here what radar I'm looking at. I am looking at the Milwaukee radar, which actually does look like it's handling that now a little bit better. So I think we're probably getting to the point where we'll probably just stick with Milwaukee's radar. Still those two punches though. Waupun, not to leave you out, you're gonna have some strong wind coming in there. And just kind of to watch what at one time seemed like it was the same thing and then just kind of split. So we had the clear confirmed tornado right in Appleton and watch those two areas just kind of splitting. It started to kind of scoot down western side of Lake Winnebago, and then we had that new area which is now on the labeling Auburn. So still really packing a punch here in both of those spots as we continue with that severe thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, Bill and Amanda have a little bit more information for us from some of the storms that we saw earlier today.
Yeah, you guys were mentioning lightning, and we have a lightning-related tragedy here. A 29-year-old man dead in Whitewater. This is after an apparent lightning strike. You're taking a look on the left side of your screen. This is video from the scene a short time ago. Emergency crews believe a tree trimmer was struck by lightning. Happened just before 10 a.m. Crews say they found the victim unresponsive 60 feet up in a tree.
Very sad situation. According to Whitewater Fire and EMS, the supervisor of the crew reported that there was a loud bang and a flash, and they believe that the tree had been struck by lightning. Firefighters were not immediately able to reach that victim because of how high that tree was and how high he was in the tree. Tree trimming crews eventually lowered him down.
All right, we have some storm pictures of the aftermath of some of the storms coming through here. And look at that, you've got trees down. We are seeing lots of video of the aftermath of that tornado reported in Appleton in the Menasha area. One wonders if some of these pictures are from that area, because the video there was very stark. We do have an update too on power outages. We're down from its peak of just under 72,000 to 67,604 customers. As Amanda mentioned, Milwaukee, a lot of outages, the Appleton area as well.
All right, but going back and forth with some of our storm spotters, as we've got, this is, so there's the Theresa area as looks like our crews are moving through there. I've got both Mark Fox and Jim Hoth that are going back and forth giving reports as well. So you can see where that notch is, pretty much moving over into Waupun. So it's moved south of Brandon. It's moved south of south of Fond du Lac, Oakfield. We all remember that. I mean, that was the last F5 tornado that we've had in the state back in 1996. But the area that we're watching is right over Waupun, and there's been the history of some funnel clouds. Rebecca showed you earlier to the north, obviously, most likely, tornado damage that was created earlier. So at any point, the problem is, with the storm, you've got the leading edge, kind of that surge of damaging winds on the eastern side, and then you just have this little area to the southwest. So we still have, it's kind of oblong, if you will, but there's some outflow that's pushed out. You can see that thin green line there, but there's nothing to the south here as the storm continues to move south. It goes until 1:45. The tornado warning goes until 1:45. At this point, there's no indication on whether that's going to be extended further south. We do have severe thunderstorm warnings that go well past 2 o'clock to kind of encompass the damaging wind threat there. Good news in Sheboygan County. A lot of that storm continues to move south, which is good. But if you're watching from West Bend, those winds are coming through there. Also, if you're watching from Grafton into Cedarburg, those areas, that heavy rain will be pushing south as well. A lot of areas picking up over an inch of rain earlier. So if we do get some heavier rain, there could be some additional flooding issues as well. But this is the complex that's creating all the severe weather. Maybe you just got home and you're hearing sirens, wondering what's going on. We've got tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings. And these aren't, just garden variety severe thunderstorm warnings. The threat for 70 to even pockets of 80-mile-an-hour winds are there. So, that's triggering a lot of phones and for good reason. Listen, we've seen some nasty storms over the last several weeks. Tragedy, at Lake Geneva, and these storms come through very quickly and can do a quick amount of damage, especially if you get little pockets. You don't even have to have widespread winds, but pockets of downburst types of winds. So we've got severe thunderstorm warnings, Dodge, Ozaukee, Washington until 2:30, and then that tornado warning for Dodge and Fond du Lac counties, southern Fond du Lac counties at 1:45. And you could see the DOT moving these cameras around. Looks like there's something going on there, maybe an accident of some sort. I don't know exactly if that's weather related or if people are moving to the side of the road. One thing we don't want to do is park under overpasses. It's dangerous. It can back up traffic, and we can see more accidents there. But look at all the lightning clustered where that updraft is. And so these storms have had the history of large hail. The hail, at least from the Weather Service, looked like it was coming down just a little bit, but still 70 to even 80-mile-an-hour winds cannot be ruled out with that storm. So there's the hail core there. It definitely has come down. Doesn't look like it's as pronounced, but it could pop right back up as that moves south toward Mayville. But if you are watching from Mayville, if you got that opportunity to put the cars inside or get them covered up, there will likely be some hail moving toward you. And then the western part of that storm, where there's nothing going on, that's where that tornadic part of that thunderstorm will be as we continue to watch. As it's now moving south, that notch is now almost out of Fond du Lac County, but it's still there. So Waupun into Burnett, areas of concern there. A lot of heavy rainfall from Oakfield into Leroy, into Mayville, as that storm is pushing into Mayville as well. So we've got kind of the big expansive part of that storm. But notice the deep reds here. That's where that strong updraft is. Could be a decent hail core, and then a developing tornado at any point. The good news is we've got spotters that are around that storm. That storm is still pushing 45,000 to maybe 50,000 feet. Earlier, it looked like it was pushing just above that 50,000 foot threshold. You get anything above 40, and that is pretty impressive for this part of the country. And that's, unfortunately what we're seeing. Now, this is good news. Notice the greens have really come down. They blew through Fond du Lac County. We're still seeing them show up throughout Kewaskum, but it's not as bright. So thankfully, that storm, at least that part of that storm, maybe not producing the damaging winds, at least that threat that we had earlier, but still that area of rotation to the southwest. And if we want to do another storm track from where that rotation is, where that tornado warning part of the storm is, we can do that. Again, that tornado warning goes out until 1:45. Rebecca, Justin, I haven't checked any indication on what they want to do with that particular part of the storm.
Not really, according to the National Weather Service. They are kind of cleaning up some of the other warnings. The Fond du Lac, Sheboygan, they are still under a severe thunderstorm warning, so that is still currently in effect until 2:15. Wind speeds there to about 70 miles per hour, hail to 1.5 inches in diameter there. Similar situation, Dodge, Ozaukee, Washington County, they've cleaned that up as well. Tornado possible tags on both of those as well. They have decreased the wind speeds a little bit though, so that is some good news there. Currently expected up to 70 miles per hour, not the 80 miles per hour that we had earlier. So there is a little bit of reduction there in what we're seeing maybe on the radar image of what the wind speeds that we're seeing. We're kind of seeing that a little bit, as you were just mentioning. Those bright greens are no longer kind of in effect across those northern counties that we're really watching. But currently the strongest part of the storm is not really interacting with some of the other boundaries that we have been seeing out there, at least not right now. That current boundary, that gust front that we had from earlier from some of the morning storms, that's just a little bit west of where we're seeing some of the stormy activity. And you can see some of the areas potentially impacted by this velocity and by some of these strong storms will be in kind of the West Dallas area right around 221, Franklin area a little bit after 2:30 as well. That's if these storms hold together, and hopefully they'll continue to weaken a little bit, just a little bit.
Looks like they're canceling the flash flood warning as well down to the south for Kenosha and Racine, so hopefully improving conditions there with any ponding or minor flooding that folks might be experiencing.
And we want to get to some photos out of Menasha. These are from Alexander and Jamie King. This is damage, suspected tornado damage when it touched down in that area off of 441 South near Midway Road. As you can see, I mean, these pictures are just incredible. Parts of the building there have come down. There is damage just in the middle of traffic on the road. You can see the wall torn down on one of those photos. Just some really scary but incredible photos that these viewers have captured for us.
Yeah, that is, you said it all right there. Just sad to see, and hope we get no reports of injuries or fatalities. Drew?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I know we've got Jenna Wells that's going to be heading up in that area to provide some reports later on. We still have the tornado warning till 1:45, mainly throughout the northern part of Dodge County. That rotation has come over the border there and has moved in. We haven't seen any indication at this point whether we're going to see any extended tornado warning to the south, but could happen. We still have that severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 7 o'clock tonight in advance of the storm. And as Justin's looking at the storm, you still see that cluster of lightning. So it's not like this storm has weakened just because the winds have come down a little bit and the hail core has come down. It doesn't mean that the storm is dying out. In fact, when you just look at lightning in that area that Justin had highlighted, almost 400 strikes of lightning in that general zone. So there is still a very strong updraft that is supporting that supercell thunderstorm, and it's wrapped up. We still had that notch there, and there is nothing to the south. We're not seeing any storms to the south. So if that storm, and Justin had mentioned it, there's a lot of different boundaries that have been laid out from the earlier rain and storms, and a lot of times there's one of them right there. As these storms come over, all it takes is just to spin up on one of those boundaries and get things rotated. You know, tornado forecasting, tornado warnings, it's a tricky business, and that's why you can be watching a storm. That storm may look like just about ready to wind down, and then bam, it hits one of these hits one of these boundaries and spins up rather quickly. So as we look at that coming into northern portions of Dodge County, yeah, it definitely does not look as organized as it was before, but it might just be recycling and strengthening at some point. That's why we want to stay on through at least the tornado warn part of that storm, and we'll have to see if anything gets extended, and it might not, and we may just have the severe thunderstorm warnings for a while, but it doesn't mean at some point that storm won't move south and maybe trigger some additional warnings. And Justin put this in motion, and you can see it in the northern part of the county, in Fond du Lac County. You saw some really, really bright greens and reds that were showing through. So definitely, damaging wind potential as it came through. Doesn't look like it's as pronounced, and we're just watching really that tail end, that kind of that southwestern side, if you will, where still ingesting at least the potential for some instability. I mean, Justin, you had mentioned that earlier. This is not. It's not like this is just gonna. It's just gonna die out, and that's it at 1:45. This storm could be going through a bit of a process here.
Yeah, that is potentially a possibility right now, and it is now 1:45. The current tornado warning has been allowed to expire there for all of Fond du Lac County as well as Dodge County. If we turn the radar off, you can see we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning that is still currently in effect for the entirety of Dodge County, Washington County, Ozaukee County, all included in this severe thunderstorm warning, and still parts of southern Fond du Lac County, southern Sheboygan County are included in this as well. In terms of the timing and the information there, you can see it goes until 2:30 here this afternoon, so 45 minutes left on that. But official confirmation from the National Weather Service, they, at least as of right now, they have expired that tornado warning there. They let's see, National Weather Service saying they're keeping a close eye on it. They did have a report of a funnel earlier, but for right now, they're going to go ahead and let that tornado warning expire for parts of Fond du Lac as well as Dodge counties.
All right, that's good news. Yeah, I'm glad to hear it. But we still have that severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 7 o'clock tonight. So, the atmosphere, especially south, as it has some time to recover, still a possibility. So you can see that severe thunderstorm watch continues to the south. So again, we still have those severe thunderstorm warnings. We will watch things very closely for you. If you're in and around those severe thunderstorms, we could see damaging winds, the potential for hail. Obviously, as more warnings come on, we will let you know. And if any other tornado warnings pop on, we will also cover that. So at this point, we're going to wrap up coverage, and we're going to send it back to programming. Keep it right here to CBS 58.